The following is a Canadian Sports Network presentation produced in cooperation with the Ontario Hockey League.
Hi, and welcome to Oshawa, home of the defending Ontario Hockey League champions. It's been almost 20 years since I was a member of the Generals, but the memories of those days remain vivid. In 1966, our club went to the Memorial Cup final with a team with players like Wayne Cashman and Bill White. Now the names to watch include Dave Gans, John McLean, and Lee Giffen. Today, it's the Oshawa Generals and the Soo Greyhounds on the OHL Game of the Week.
The Ontario Hockey League Game of the Week is brought to you by Molson, bringing you the finest in hockey broadcasting for over 25 years. And by Burger King, home of the Whopper. Aren't you hungry for Burger King now? And by Imperial Oil. You make us better. Esso. Live from the Oshawa Civic Auditorium, it's the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds against the Oshawa Generals. Hello again, everyone. I'm Mike Anscombe, and welcome to our OHL Game of the Week telecast between Oshawa and Sault Ste. Marie. Now, this represents a repeat of last year's league final, which the Generals swept in 4 straight, advancing to the Memorial Cup Championship. The Greyhounds are once again a contender this season. Their record is 31-20-3. That puts them in second place in the Ems division behind Kitchener, and they are coming off a 4-3 victory over Kingston last night. Now, some people refer to the Oshawa Civic Auditorium as the house that Orr built. It was here, of course, that Bobby first gained national attention with his junior exploits and accomplishments before going on to legendary greatness with the Boston Bruins. And that winning tradition during the Orr era has carried right through to the 70s and 80s. Over the past couple of decades, the Generals have been as successful as any franchise in the OHL. And for the past 8 seasons, a lot of the credit for that success can be attributed to Sherry Bassett, first as coach and now as general manager. Sherry, last year you were in the national final. This year you were in 4th place in the Leyden division. This must be one of your tougher years.
No question, Mike. Right now we have 11 17-year-olds and 2 16-year-olds, and we keep saying about maturity, that we have to mature. Last year we had the Sorellas and the Schmidts and the Tanties and the Andreychuks, and it's a little different power play now that comes on the ice than when you had those guys. That was the peak of their year, and we got to the Memorial Cup. We didn't get to win it. We got to bite out of the apple, but not to keep it.
How do you plan for a season when you know you're going to lose so much talent?
Well, one of the things about this league is that everybody loses in junior hockey at least 5, 6, 7 players. So everybody's got to replace a certain amount. It used to be kind of a thing where it was 6, 6, and 6 was the ideal situation. But now with the 18-year-old draft, and if you got one of the top few kids that are picked, all of a sudden you have to replace 8 or 9 or 10. And it was our kind of year where we've had some, as it happens, we've had 1 or 2 young kids leave every year. We have John McLean back now. Fortunately, this will be his first game back in a while. And Todd Charlesworth is back, so some of our veterans, of the 7 or 8 or 9 veterans that we have, they'll be in the lineup today to kind of help those young kids mature.
So you're trying to peak for the playoffs, obviously.
Well, hopefully, and this is the time when it really counts.
All right. Sherry Bassett, general manager of the Oshawa Generals. And now for more on the 2 teams, let's go upstairs to our broadcast colleagues, Jim Hughson and Gary Green.
Hello again, everyone. Gary, put yourself in Terry Crisp's position today. You played on Thursday night. You rode the bus down to Kingston and played on Friday night. 3rd game in 3 days against a team like Oshawa. How are you going to play it today?
Well, first of all, no thanks. I don't want to be in Terry Crisp's shoes, Jim. I think that's a difficult situation, as you can well understand, being on the bus for that many hours. But then again, remember the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, they're used to that type. I would be a little bit more concerned about who they have to play this afternoon, with Stern, Gans, and McLean all back together for the first time in an awful long time. Oshawa Generals are going to be flying.
Okay, let's take a look at the players you're going to see today in the lineups for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and the Oshawa Generals. First, a look at the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. The starting goaltender today will be Jim Samick. The leading scorer amongst defensemen is Chris Felix, number 5. Watch for him. He's a quarterback. Rick Tockett is not in the lineup, nor is Britt Peer. Wayne Gruel is the leading scorer in the top 10 in the league. Look for him, number 9. Steve Graves, an Edmonton draft pick, number 14, has speed to burn. You'll watch for him today. Gus Greco is another scratch, number 20. He's out with an injury. Mike Lococo is the Scholastic player, number 22 on this team. And Jeff Bukaboom, an Edmonton first draft pick, is a big, sturdy defenseman. He's the best of the defensive defensemen. The former NHLer, Philadelphia Flyer, Terry Crisp, is the coach of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. They'll be in tough today against a team of Generals that, as Gary mentioned, has some players back in the lineup, including John McLean. He'll wear number 15, and he is the New Jersey draft pick that spent most of the season there. You'll see Peter Sidorkiewicz, the Washington draft pick, number 1, playing in goal. Look for Mark Harmon. I think he's one of the top defensemen. He's a prospect for the 1985 draft. He's wearing number 4. Gary McColgan is a 1984 draft potential. He's wearing number 7 today. Number 11, Scott Bridges, wasn't in the lineup when we saw the Oshawa Generals a couple of weeks ago, but he is probably the fastest player in the lineup, number 11. Number 12, Craig Morrison, is scratched because of an injury. Number 14, Mike Stern, will play with John McLean. Number 15, Stern provides the muscle for the most part on that line. 23, Lee Giffen, is a very highly touted prospect for the future. And look for Todd Charlesworth, just back from a 10-game trial with the Pittsburgh Penguins, number 27. Number 77 and number 88, David Gans, a couple of very talented forwards and centermen. In fact, the Oshawa Generals will look for those two for big things this afternoon. So there's a look at the lineups, and we await the start of the Sault Ste. Marie Oshawa General game. We'll have the play-by-play and color commentary for you in a few moments, but right now let's rejoin Mike.
All right, thank you very much, Jim. Oshawa loves the Generals. They have a hardcore, almost fanatical following here, and nobody is more devoted to the team than a lady named Mrs. Konorowski, who, to commemorate our telecast this afternoon, decided to bake a cake, and what a cake it is. So thank you very much, Mrs. Konorowski, and our crew, incidentally, can hardly wait. But wait they will, because we've got some great hockey ahead of us, and we'll be back with the opening 20 minutes right after this.
Hello again, everyone. Jim Hughson with Gary Green in the broadcast booth at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium for this OHL game of the week between the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and the Oshawa Generals. The team met in last year's OHL Championship Final, and the Generals won that series 4 games straight as they went 15-1-1 through the OHL playoffs last season. But they're different teams this season, and we'll see how they do in their 4th and final meeting of the regular season in just a moment. Season, it's the Oshawa Generals against the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. The referee today is Bill Prisniak. His linesmen are Ken Cox and Peter Wicklow. The goaltender today for the Soo Greyhounds is Jim Samick. Jim is an 18-year-old from Thunder Bay who played Stratford Junior B last season. He was a 13th round pick in '82 of the Greyhounds. He started today as the other goaltender, Jerry Giuliano, played last night. Peter Sidorkiewicz, number 1, will be in goal today for the Oshawa Generals. He's a 20-year-old who hails from the Oshawa area, drafted by the Washington Capitals in his final season of junior hockey, and hoping that next year he'll be a pro in the Capitals organization. game about to get underway as Don Biggs faces off against Pat Leahy at center of the Greyhounds. Chris Brandt is number 18 for the Sioux, moves it up the middle to Leahy, where he is checked by Todd Charlesworth. Charlesworth, number 27, the defenseman just back from Pittsburgh. Here's Jeff Bookaboo. Graham Bonner, number 29, in the corner, handling the puck for Sault Ste. Marie. And out come the Generals. That pass from Jeff Steffen into the middle, picked up by Scott Bridges, number 11, tripped up from behind. Going to be a Sault Ste. Marie penalty to number 29, Graham Bonner. Right off the bat, the Oshawa Generals are going to go on the power play.
Bonner it will be. You can take a look at it here. Tripping, hooking, call it what you will. This is going to give Oshawa the opportunity on the power play. Oshawa, an excellent power play team. Paul Theriault, the coach of the Generals, employs a little bit of a European style on his power play, and Paul Theriault's got some European background. He has coached West Germany. Watch them closely.
It's a hooking call against Graham Bonner at 26 seconds. No score in the game. The Generals are on the power play. Hutchings, number 3, is carrying the puck. John Hutchings. Number 14 is Mike Stern. This is 88 Dave Gans. John McLean is number 15. He's already up in behind the Sault Ste. Marie defense. The point men, Bridges and Hutchings. Steve Graves, along with Pat Leahy up front, killing the penalty for Sault Ste. Marie. The defenseman, Bookaboo. And number 10, Tim Hoover. Bridges to center. He's checked by Tim Hoover, and the Greyhounds break up the play momentarily. The Bookaboo sends the puck down the ice. Hutchings on the other side for David Gans, and Gans fires the puck into the Sault Ste. Marie zone. Hutchings from the point. Down on the boards. Here's McLean, number 15, moving on in front, trying to get the backhand shot away. Stern is shot, another shot, scores! 1-0 Generals.
Power play proved costly to the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Watch as Mike Stern is parked right to the left of Semick. Gans and Stern, especially out there, they can really make things happen on this power play. There you see Mike Stern.
I think Gans will get the goal.
Well, I think you're right. That puck was going straight in, and Gans was parked over on the left side, and he just gave it the extra nudge. That was one that would have gone in, however, even if Gans hadn't have touched it.
Indeed, it is Gans, and that's his 49th goal of the season. Here comes Lee Giffen with a shot just wide. John McLean draws another assist, so does Stern. Here's the Generals again, they score! Lee Giffen makes it 2-0.
I think we were right. Sault Ste. Marie are going to have trouble today. This Oshawa team really flying. Watch Giffen coming right out from behind that net area. Always a difficult position for goaltenders. You can see Semick. He was crowding the left post right over in the direction of Giffen, but that left Semick's full right side open, and that's exactly where Giffen went.
For 16-year-old Lee Giffen of Blenheim, that's his 15th goal of the season. And already we're going to have a goaltender change as Jim Samick is gone, and Jerry Giuliano is coming into the net.
That may be the fastest goaltending change I have seen for a number of years. There you see Jim Semick. He is out of the game very early. Only 1 minute and 41 seconds.
So we're going to see Jerry Giuliano, an 18-year-old from Toronto who was invited to the Sault Ste. Marie camp in '83. He played for the Toronto Young Nats, Aurora Tier 2 last year. He's a grade 12 student at Sir James Dunn Collegiate in Sault Ste. Marie, and he's played a couple of games in a row, now in a third one.
Interesting in talking to Terry Chris about Giuliano. He says he absolutely has no style, but he stops pucks. And he comes to you and says to you, Coach, I don't really consider myself a stand-up goaltender. I don't know whether I'm a flopper. I don't know what I am, but I know I can win and I can stop those pucks. Terry Chris said that's fine with me.
2 goals, 21 seconds apart for the Oshawa Generals. A power play marker from Dave Gans, his 49th from Stern at 1:20, and McLean also drew an assist. And at 1:41, 21 seconds later, Giffen gets the goal with the assist going to McColgan. Gary McColgan and Mark Harmon. And it's quickly 2-0 Oshawa.
Always seems like a long uphill battle when you're down 2-0. Only this much time into a game.
This team's got a 10-hour bus trip back to Sault Ste. Marie after this game, so they'll want to do better than this and get going, make that trip a little easier. We're just 2 minutes into the first period. I've had a goaltending change and an offside call right now. So we mentioned the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds were winners last night, 4-3, and there's their coach, Terry Crisp.
The former Philadelphia Flyer. His team plays a lot like Terry did when he was playing in the NHL, a real working team. Terry Crisp was a real workhorse. Up and down.
Gary, 11 seasons with Boston, St. Louis, the Islanders, and Philadelphia. He was an assistant coach for a while in the National League. I think Terry Crisp just wanted a rest for his players, a little break after getting down 2-0, because Jim Samick on the offside call went back in the goal for Jerry Giuliano. So he's made a change. So obviously he just wanted to slow things down, have a talk with his players, have that team meeting all over again. Bruce Melanson, number 9, had the puck on the boards, played it back in his own zone for Mark Harmon. Here's Melanson. For Mark Harmon, not eligible for the draft until 1985. Big number 4, stolen behind the net and tied up by number 22, Mike Lococo.
So Samick's back in the net. Good strategy by Terry Crisp. I think he just wanted to get things settled down, as you mentioned, Jim, and probably even wanted to have a few words with Samick himself. Giuliano didn't get an opportunity to play much, but yet he played last night in Kingston.
Well, you see that a lot today. Is coaches use the ability to give another goaltender a warm-up at any point in the game to get a break, and that way you don't have to use your 30-second timeout. In Oshawa territory, the Generals leading 2-0, 2.5 minutes into the game. Scott Bridges ahead for Donnie Biggs. Biggs hits Jeff Steffen on the fly. Here's Bridges moving in with a backhand shot that's blocked. And then Bridges was tackled on the play. Here's Biggs at the side of the net. His shot is stopped by Samick. He juggles it. And with some acrobatics, Samick holds on, and now we got a scrap. Everybody's in it. The defensemen move in from the point. They get involved as well.
I think Soo may be a little bit frustrated with Oshawa's early and fast start. And again, Oshawa were putting some pressure on.
Now I've got some more of it in here. Everybody's picked a man. I don't know who it is that's down on the ice. Couldn't tell. It's Todd Charlesworth trying to tie up big number 24, Sam Hady, and he's a big fella for the Sioux, number 24.
You can see the referee right in the middle of your screen. He's doing a lot of writing right now.
There's Hady and Charlesworth. Charlesworth, 27.
By the way, that was a good opportunity to take a look at the Oshawa Generals' new helmets. Well, we're trying to clean things up here. Those helmets have got a little bit better protection, Sherry Basson said, and he made his team wear them today for the first time.
There's Don Biggs, number 16, going to the penalty box. So we'll get a chance to get all these penalties straightened out as they clear things up on the ice from the Oshawa Civic Auditorium. This is your Molson hockey telecast. There's referee Bill Prisniak, who's a busy start to this game. We're only 2 minutes and 55 seconds into the first period. Oshawa has already scored twice, a power play goal by David Gans, his 49th, and then Lee Giffen's 15th goal of the season, an even strength marker. And there, cleaning up the remains, is Sam Hady, as the players try and sort out the equipment, and Prisniak hands out the penalties. Biggs is in the penalty box for the Oshawa Generals, and wait for the announcement here to see who else is going to go, and they've yet to put the penalties up on the clock.
Jim Samick doing a little bit of stretching. Right now, he may feel that he's in for a rough afternoon, the way this General team got started.
Biggs Biggs and Steppen, you see there, number on the other side, the Oshawa Generals back in there. Those are the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in their reds. 22 is Mike Lococo. He's in the penalty box, as is number 10, Tim Hoover.
Paul Theriault right now observing, trying to figure out himself what is going on before he selects his players. Theriault, a very well-versed coach, good technical man, good teacher. That's his background. He was a former teacher. He's from the north area, right from Sault Ste. Marie, in fact.
I think he's handing out a lot of misconducts here. Hoover's got 2 and 5. Lococo's got a misconduct. Haiti has a misconduct for Sault Ste. Marie. Charlesworth has got a 10-minute misconduct. Jeff Steffen for Oshawa, 10-minute misconduct. I think Donnie Biggs gets 2 and 5. So each team will get 27 minutes in penalties out of that altercation. And a few guys will get a long rest.
I was looking forward to watching Todd Charlesworth play a bit, having come back from the Pittsburgh Penguins in the NHL.
Sure, some fans here were too. He hasn't been around for 10 games. He's played 1 game. That was on the road. So the teams will play at full strength as Hutchings takes his shot. That is blocked. The Generals keep it in. Hutchings with another shot. Samek the save. The puck is loose in front. Cleared, not out of the line. John Hutchings, number 3, keeps the puck in for the Oshawa Generals, then out along the boards. Come the Soo Greyhounds. Staying with his man is John Stevens, number 26, and the Generals come back. Mike Stern with a pass to McLean, broken up nicely by Jeff Kookaboom, number 23, for the Greyhounds. Graham Bonner, number 29, moving into the right wing, takes his man heavily out on the boards. John Stevens. 88 is David Gans. Gans for the Generals. Poke check to the line by Kookaboom, and he clears the puck. 4 minutes gone, first period. A slow start. We've had a scrap and a tie-up for a while. A couple of goals, though. The Oshawa Generals leading 2-0. John Hutchings, number 3, with a long shot in for the Generals. Back to collect it in his own zone. Has let it go out to center. Here's Gary McColgan with a shot and a nice glove save by Jim Samek.
Samek came up with a big glove save. That glove came out of nowhere. Take a look here. Gary McColgan really rifled a good shot. You see number 77, Danny Grattan, right there ready to pick up a rebound if there was any, but Samek gloved it and allowed none.
In his own zone is Chris Felix, number 5. He's a defenseman with 28 goals this season. It's only 10 off the league record held by Bobby Orr, who set the record while playing here in Oshawa. Number 21 is Rick Farah. Leaves it for Felix. His shot was blocked. Back behind the play, John Mark McKenzie, number 17, was knocked into the goalpost, and the play was called by the referee Brisniak. McKenzie was down.
Well, by the looks of it, McKenzie is all right. Let's take a look at it one more time. First of all, a great shot there by Felix. But there off to the left of your screen, you can see when McKenzie went hard. Those goalposts can be dangerous, Jim, and the new magnets that they are experimenting with, I think, are going to save a lot of injuries once they are adopted.
Bruce Melanson. The puck over the line for the Oshawa Generals and deep into Sault Ste. Marie territory. A scramble for the puck on the boards. And it's moved up to center. George Koval that shot the puck down the ice. Sidorkowicz clears it on the boards. Koval bumps his man and centers the puck. But the Generals are able to move it out. Walcott with a pass that Joel Curtis couldn't get a hold of. Kept in at the line. There's a shot from Mark Harmon. And Samek holds on.
We had mentioned earlier about Chris Felix getting off a great shot. He has got an excellent shot. He's Terry Crisp, premier offensive defenseman on this team, and you'll see a lot of him this afternoon. Chris Felix from Bramalea, Ontario.
He's a 19-year-old in his first year at Sault Ste. Marie College. in his third season with the Soo Greyhounds, undrafted last year. 5.5 minutes into the first period, 2-0 Oshawa. Changing goaltenders to get the break seems to have worked for Terry Crisp as the puck is held on the boards because his team has settled down a little bit. They were put right back on their heels right off the bat here.
It probably astonishes people. Just a little change like that, just throwing things off the pace that they were presently on. Times can get your team turned around.
The Greyhounds try and clear it. Hutchings will keep it in at the point. And then it's moved right out of the Sault Ste. Marie zone by Joe Rampton. Bukaboom. Pass at center was stopped. Here's John McLean with a shot that Samick stopped. Hard shot from McLean from the point. Hutchings with a nice move to get away from Pat Leahy. Then he lost the puck. Knocked out to center by Graham Bonner. Here's Leahy. Misses a check on the boards. Gets the puck to Rampton. Steve Graves going for the front of the net. Cut off by David Gans. And he passes it to John McLean. His pass for Stern. He couldn't handle it at center. Now out at center. Mark Tournier is number 6 for the Greyhounds. He just got here. Didn't take the warm-up as he was late getting to the rink. Just called up from an affiliated team. Didn't take the warm-up and is just in uniform now, number 6. There's Bukaboom with a shot that Sidorkiewicz picks out. Tournier moved in from the point, but Hutchings cleared the puck to center. McLean checked there by Bukaboom. They tie the puck up for a face-off out in the neutral zone. You're watching the OHL Game of the Week. Jim Hughson with Gary Green and Mike Anscombe at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium for this OHL Game of the Week. The Oshawa Generals leading the Soo Greyhounds 2-0 on goals by David Gans and Lee Giffin. Danny Grattan, number 77 for the Generals, moves the puck to Lee Giffin, number 23, and it's dumped into the inboards. Felix will try and clear it. McColgan with a centering pass. Felix sandwiched between McColgan and Giffin. Coming up with it is Grattan, tried to stuff it in. And then he's after the puck in the corner again. Grattan for Felix. Grattan is loose out in front, but the Greyhounds are able to clear the puck. Number 19 is Mike Oliveri into the middle to Rick Farah. Farah lost the puck just in over the line, and the play is called to be a penalty handed out against the Oshawa Generals' Mark Harmon for holding.
This could get Sault Ste. Marie right back into the game. We're going to take a look at it right here. There you see, Farah was being held, no question about it, by Harmon.
So the Greyhounds go to work with a man advantage and may put them back in the game. They need a goal here. They're down 2-0. Harmon for holding at 7:16.
You might expect Wayne Gruel would be out there taking that face-off. He's the key man right now in the power play up front for them.
Wayne Gruel, a Quebec Nordique draft pick. He's in the top 10 in OHL scoring, number 9. Pat Leahy is over on the right side, and Steve Graves, the Edmonton draft pick, has the puck, number 14. He was up with Edmonton for a few games this season, didn't see a lot of action. But as Terry Crisp says, he's got speed to burn. On the point, John English, number 11, and 23, Jeff Bukaboom. So there's the Sault Ste. Marie power play that still wants to get set up. We're almost 8 minutes into the first period, 2-0 Oshawa. Here's Graves, number 14. McLean watches him. McLean takes the puck away, knocked out the center, 2-on-1. The Oshawa Generals, Grattan and McLean. Grattan to McLean. Tried to slip it back to Grattan. A nice play by Jeff Bukaboom to break up that 2-on-1. Then the play is called as there's a player hurt. Over on the boards, I can't see who it is. It is Steve Graves down on the ice.
Well, it's to be hoped that Graves is not hurt because he really is the key to the left side for the Greyhounds.
Well, he had moved in on the boards carrying the puck. John McLean hit him on the boards, and then they went up on the 2-on-1, and that just left Graves behind. So he fell down in there, and I don't know what happened to him.
Speaking about that 2-on-1 situation, Jim, Bukaboom really played it well. It's no wonder why Terry Crisp thinks so highly of him, a very good all-round defenseman. You can see Gans and McLean making a nice play, in fact, but Bukaboom going sprawling down. making sure that puck, however, was underneath of him. Good defensive move by Bukaboom.
Bukaboom is an 18-year-old from Lindsay at 6'4", 210. The Edmonton Oilers look for big things from him. And pardon the pun. But he's a big fella. A lot of people say when he sort of catches up with his size, they will put him in good stead, that he'll be a lot better.
Looks like Graves is all right. He's up and at him. This man has an excellent shot. You described him as having speed to burn. He really can motor down that left wing side. Tough for a defenseman to play up against him.
Both teams are still missing men sitting out fighting majors and misconducts. For Oshawa, Charlesworth, Biggs, and Stefan are still off the ice. And for Sault Ste. Marie, Hoover, Lococo, and Haiti picked up either fighting majors or misconducts early in the game. There's 54 seconds left in the Oshawa penalty to mark. The Generals come out shorthanded. John McLean, number 15. Hasn't played since January 24th because of a hand injury. And he looks like he's hurt his hand again on this shift as he was grimacing and holding on to one wrist. Deep in his own zone, killing some time, is number 3, John Hutchings, and he banked that puck off the stick of David Gans and down the ice. It's good penalty killing.
Excellent penalty killing. Ontario has got good specialty teams, good power play, and good penalty killing.
Rick Farah for Wayne Gruel. His shot easily handled by Peter Sidorkiewicz, who hasn't been very busy. Here's Rick Farah, number 21. It's the pike to Mike Oliverio. They score! Gruel on a pass from Oliverio with 1 second to go in the penalty.
We had mentioned just a short time ago, in fact, at the start of this power play, that Wayne Gruel was the key to it. Well, watch this. Good pass by Oliverio, but Gruel right there. Gruel does not waste any time whatsoever. When he gets that puck, he lets it go and catches Sidorkiewicz in movement. You can't move that quickly to get over there to stop that shot that Gruel just let go.
Makes it a different story here. 2-1. The Sioux gets its first goal on the power play after Oshawa scored 2 goals in the first 2 minutes. That is a power play goal. Gruel from Oliverio. Oliverio and Rick Farah also drops an assist. As the Greyhounds keep it in there, right in front of the net, number 17, John Mark McKenzie had a chance and couldn't hold on to the puck. Ken Sabarin, number 15, dumps the puck in for the Greyhounds. Mark Harmon there to collect it for the Generals. Down on the boards, decked at the line by Bukaboom was Generals number 19, Joel Curtis, as the Greyhounds keep the puck in. And it's shot out to center. Here's Jeff Bukaboom, number 23. The other side, the puck is moved up. Bukaboom again for his defensive partner, Ken Sabarin. Sabarin up the middle. Graham Bonner couldn't hold it. There's a shot by Sabarin, stopped by Sidorkiewicz. Somebody's calling to get a whistle, but we're going to get one now because there's a fight behind the play. Joe Rampton tied up with Bruce Melanson. Rampton of Sault Ste. Marie, Melanson of the Generals.
I'm not even sure how that started, Jim, because it was behind the play. The puck was nowhere in sight.
I think they bumped shoulders, looked at each other, and decided to go.
Didn't take much anyway. Well, they've got it all separated anyway. It's been a rough first period so far.
Well, Melanson and Rampton take a break. So will we. From Oshawa, this is your Molson Hockey Telecast. Joe Rampton and Bruce Melanson, the combatants in a scrap at 10:20. And they'll each get 2 and 5, so both are gone for 7 minutes. We've already had a total of 70 minutes in penalties in this hockey game, and we've just passed the the midway mark of the first period. So the teams are at even and full strength because of the offsetting major penalties. Steve Stevens ahead for John McLean of the Oshawa Generals. That play is broken up by Chris Brandt. Number 18, the Sault Ste. Marie defenseman, is on the ice. Hutchings plays the puck for defensive partner John Stevens. Off the boards intended for Dave Gans, broken up by the Soo Greyhounds. Number 9, Wayne Gruel. Hutchings up the middle for the Generals. Picked off at center by English. Over to Chris Brandt, and Brandt fires the puck back in. Sidorkowicz out of his goal will leave it there for John Stevens. 2-1, the Generals lead the Greyhounds. 8:45 to play in the first period. Here's Hutchings. Back pass for Stevens and out to center. Dave Gans for Hutchings, moving up. Shoots. Samek makes the save and controls the rebound. John English, number 11, clears it. Not out. Kept it at the point by Stevens. To Gans. Out in front. Stern fanned on it. He was loose in front and fanned on it, and Samek covers up. And here we go again.
It may be one of those days. Sault Ste. Marie challenging everyone in sight. Every Oshawa General, that is, in sight, especially in their own end zone.
We'll remind you now that Burger King has a great ticket offer for OHL fans. With this at one of their Toronto, Mississauga, Newmarket, or Oshawa locations, you can have a couple of tickets to the Saturday, February 18th London at Toronto game. That's next weekend, just for the asking. See the Knights and the Marlies at Maple Leaf Gardens, courtesy of Burger King, next weekend. Face off to the right of Samek. No penalties after that mix-up in front. Late line change by the Generals is turned back.
I didn't think there was much of a chance that Paul Terrier was going to get Harmon on the ice for that one.
Pat Leahy, number 12, won the draw for the Greyhounds, and the Sioux moves it out to center. Here's Leahy crisscrossing at center with Graham Bonner, but the play is broken up. Gary McColgan's pass is knocked away by Rick Farah, but the puck was shot to center by the Generals. Here's number 10, Tim Hoover. Dumps the puck in. Greyhounds in after it quickly. Number 29 is Graham Bonner. Back in the point to Felix. Winds up and shoots. Blocked in front by Stevens and turned back the other way. 3-on-2. The Generals broken up after a bad pass. Hoover broke it up. Moving in is Pat Leahy. Moves for the front. Can't get the shot away. And the puck is picked up by Gary McColgan. McColgan to Danny Grattan. The man from Brentford lost the puck at the Sault Ste. Marie blue line, and it's shot down the ice. Harmon is back to touch it, and icing is called against the Sioux.
Oh, a little flavor here this afternoon in the stands. We've got some posters here. Generals are number 1. That sign may have been even left over from last year when they were number 1. This General team going to the Memorial Cup. Would you be my General?
Quite a season for the Generals last year. They lost Tony Tanti. They lost Dave Andrechuk. But they still regrouped, went 15-1-1 through the playoffs and out to the Memorial Cup in Portland. It was won by the Winterhawks of the Western League. Here today, it's Oshawa 2, Sault Ste. Marie 1 as Wayne Gruel moves in. Turned back by Ian Ferguson, the Generals defenseman number 5. Now out at center, Joel Curtis is number 19, with Donnie Biggs moving for the net. Biggs with a back pass, nobody there as Brent Mackey was tied up. Back the other way. Chris Felix, number 5, the rushing defenseman for the Greyhounds, stopped at the Oshawa blue line. 6:50 to play in the first period. 2-1, Oshawa leading. Biggs with a pass to Curtis. Curtis moves in, fires one, stops. The rebound is stopped by Samek again, and he holds on.
Samek looking pretty sharp in this latter part first period. There you see him making that save. Biggs coming right in there looking for that rebound. Samek pulling it in, however, into his pads.
It's a shot by Curtis, and Biggs right on the rebound. Samek, I don't think, could be faulted in the early going when they scored a couple of goals on him. They Generals defense and forwards all came up a little flat. They left a little bit in Kingston last night, I guess.
Interesting how you may consider the fact that Terry Crisp might have just been calling for a little extracurricular activities, a little rough stuff after his team got off to such a bad start. That oftentimes shakes things up. Now, how this one started was simply based on words.
Well, that was Ken Saberin, number 15, the Sault Ste. Marie defenseman who was lined up there at the faceoff, and he obviously didn't like what was said to him by John McLean, number 15 of the Generals.
Obviously not. Take a look at them. They're just looking at each other.
It was Valentine's Day smack right in the kisser. So Saberin and McLean will go to the dressing rooms.
That's Saberin, a big player, 6'4", 200 pounds. Very tough defenseman. Chris said he's got a little mean streak in him. That's an understatement.
Well, I think Saberin has just been ejected from the game, and he's going to be gone, and the fans give him a little razzmatazz as he heads up the tunnel for the dressing room. Saberin was obviously the aggressor. He was the first one to throw a punch, and that'll probably cost him the afternoon.
This young man here, Wayne Gruel, he hasn't been off the ice too much so far in this first period of play. You can expect that he will get a great deal of ice time all afternoon. He is the key to their offense.
So both coaches are going to have to do some juggling, put some different players in different positions. McLean is staying on the ice. I think there's only going to be one penalty through all of this. I think Saberin's going to get the only penalty, and McLean is going to stay on the ice. How about that?
Now this could be very, very costly to the Greyhounds. They were doing a good job of working their way back after that 2-0 deficit. This could hurt them.
That's it. One penalty. Saberin, 5 minutes and a game conduct, so it's a 5-minute power play for the Oshawa Generals. I suppose that's not too bad a call. One guy started to fight, and it looked like McLean just defended himself, turtled, and tried to keep from getting hit. So the Generals have all sorts of time to work this power play, and they're up 2-1.
It appears that about every other stoppage of play, there has been some rough stuff. As we take a look at Tim Hoover, he's one of the Greyhounds' steadier defensemen.
Tim Hoover, a 19-year-old from North Bay, played for the Don Mills Flyers, a fine midget organization. So the Generals are on a power play, leading 2-1, a long power play, and they'll set up around the Sault Ste. Marie box. Hutchings faked the shot, got it into Stern. He tried to center it and lost the puck, and it's dumped down the ice.
Set it up, set it up.
Steve Graves was shaken up earlier and went to the dressing room. He's back on the ice, number 14, as you look at John Hutchings carrying the puck out of his own zone. Graves will stand up to him at center. Play is broken up by Pat Leahy. He knocked the puck to center. And Stern moves it in offside as the Generals have a little trouble getting organized.
The Generals being led up front by Dave Gans, fourth leading scorer in the OHL. He belongs to the Los Angeles Kings. They selected him in the second round last year. He was with them at the first of this year. Paul Theriault certainly very pleased that the LA Kings decided to let Dave Gans come back and improve his overall game.
He's number 88, and number 77 is Danny Gratton, and he's destined to take over from where Gans leaves off. He's probably the heir apparent as the #1 center on this team, not eligible for the draft until 1985.
Hey, you take a look at Lee Giffen, the second goal scorer for the Generals this afternoon.
He also is ineligible for the draft until 85. Lee Giffen, just a 16-year-old, a minor midget.
With Grattan and Giffen, they've got a couple of good, solid players for the future.
Mark Harmon is another player coming back.
Both of these teams you're watching this afternoon are very young. Sault Ste. Marie got 16 players coming back next year.
Here's Grattan moving the puck in, a nice end-to-end rush, and then he lost the puck at the side of the net. Chris Felix dumps it down the ice. There's 3.5 minutes left, and the major penalty was handed out to Ken Sabourin. He got in a fight and was the only penalized player. It was a one-way fight. McLean stayed on the ice. So it's a major penalty being killed off by the Greyhounds. They're down 2-1. As Lee Giffen carries the puck in. Dumps it on the boards, and Wayne can't clear it out. Scott Bridges, number 11. Into the middle. Biggs. To Bridges. Into Giffen. Shot it wide. Trying to pick that top glove side corner, and he just about hit it. Biggs to Grattan, back in the point. Bridges moves in. On the other side to Lee Giffen. Johnny Biggs, number 16. To Bridges. His shot.
Well, let's take a look at it. Good shot here by Bridges from way out. I don't know whether or not Samek was screened on this play or not. You can see it from that position. I don't think he could see that puck coming. There had to be 4 players in front of him. Bridges, good hard shot. Puts the Generals ahead by 3-1, and still 2 minutes and 43 seconds remaining on Sabourin's penalty.
That's the 7th goal of the season for Scott Bridges. John Biggs draws the assist on Bridges' 7th at 15:35, a power play goal, and the power play continues. So it's 3-1 Generals, 4 minutes to play first period. Graves on Bridges as Graves does some forechecking on this penalty-killing unit. He's been out there for a while. He and Logie are up front with Bukaboom and Hoover back as the penalty killer. Here's Lee Giffen, number 23. In the middle, there's the shot off the side of the net from David Gans, number 88. Back in the point, Giffen. Into the middle, shoots it, scores! Oshawa.
Unless it was tipped, that'll be Lee Giffen's second goal of the game. Watch it. He moves to the middle ice area, winds up and blasts that puck. Very difficult to tell. There were about 3 players in that slot area that perhaps deflected it.
That's a replica of a goal we saw him score a couple of weeks ago against the Toronto Marlboros when the Generals lost 4-3, but that's what the Generals like to do, put that defenseman into the middle. The other defenseman moves on to the wing.
You'd notice during Oshawa's power play, which they still are on, by the way, with 1 minute and 58 seconds remaining, they've moved the puck around well.
3:40 to play in the first period. Giffen gets the goal at 16:20. Gans will draw an assist on the power goal. 3 power play goals for the Oshawa Generals, and there'll be a goaltending change for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Back at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium, there's still 1 minute and 42 seconds left, and a major penalty handed out to Ken Sabourin of the Soo Greyhounds, and the Generals have already scored 2 goals on the power play and have made the score here 4-1. A costly penalty for Ken Sabourin and the Greyhounds.
You can say that again. 2 power play goals so far. Don't be surprised if Oshawa picks up another one. 3 power play goals in this first period. That is the difference.
And again, we've had a goaltending change. Jerry Uliano is in the net for the second time, but this time he's there to stay. He replaces Jim Samek. Here's Gary McColgan. Drops it back for Grattan. Scott Bridges, number 11 at the point. To Grattan, he tried to send it to the other side. Uliano picked it off after it bounced off a skate.
Well, Oshawa just continued to move this puck around quickly. Watch again, they set up in the middle of the ice area. Wayback on that blue line. They moved the puck so well. McColgan standing right in front of that net area. He was ready to bang that puck in if it came his way. Uliano, however, got his glove on it. Tough time for a goaltender to come in. Oshawa with the power play. You can bet Uliano is going to get tested.
4-1, Oshawa leading as we come up to the first intermission. And the puck comes out to center. We'll remind you that in our first intermission, Todd Charlesworth of the Generals will be around to talk to Mike Anscombe. We'll have our OHL Grad of the Week feature on Scott Arneal of the Winnipeg Jets, former Cornwall Royal. Also look at the OHL Scholastic team named this past week. Generals setting up on this power play again. Into the middle, tipped by McLean into the corner. Gant for McLean. McLean holds onto the puck for Hutchings. John Hutchings, number 3, shoots. Uliano makes the save, and the puck is cleared around the boards by Huber, but not out. Here's McLean moving in, shoots and scores! 5-1, Oshawa.
What we expected happened. Another power play goal. The way that McLean shot that puck, he put enough behind it to drive it right through Uliano. That is the third power play goal now by the Generals since Sabaran took that penalty. That has been oh so costly to the Sioux team this afternoon.
And the penalty continues for another 36 seconds against Ken Sabrin, who is ejected for the day. McLean's 8th goal of the season. Hutchings draws the assist at 17:42. 4 power play goals for the Generals in the first period. They lead 5-1 with 2 minutes left.
Usually a coach, after an incident that Sabaran was involved in, will tell his team, as I'm sure Terrio did, make them pay for that. Pay they have.
Todd Charlesworth, number 27, dumps the puck in for Oshawa. Back the other way. It's sent and out of the penalty box. Is George Koval, who is serving the penalty to Ken Sabrin. So the teams are at even strength again, and the Greyhounds and Terry Crisp will be glad of that. 5-1 Oshawa. The last couple of minutes here in this first period as the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds move it over the line. Felix with a shot from the line that is tipped. Sidorkowicz hasn't been very busy at all, so he gets out and pokes the puck onto the boards to get a little action. Charlesworth with a clearing pass that is stopped. Charlesworth again, checked from behind by Leahy. They'll tie it up for a face-off. Face-off is to the left of Peter Sidorkowicz. In goal today for the Oshawa Generals. Off the draw, Chris Pratt from the point, shoots. Deflected wide. The Greyhounds would love to get one here before the period's over and try and get back in this now that they're at full strength. There's a shot from the point, stopped and held on to by Peter Sidorkowicz, and a little more rough stuff as everybody picks him in for a little tango after the whistle.
Difficult on Sidorkowicz, who has not had much work for about the last 10 to 12 minutes, all of a sudden having to come up with a big save. Concentration, that's when it's really tested the most. This just continues, however, as you take a look at Todd Charlesworth. The rough stuff after the whistle, that can be a very annoying part of any hockey game.
Todd Charlesworth, as we mentioned, just finished a 10-game trial with the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's an 18-year-old Ottawa native in his second season here in Oshawa. Felix with a shot off the side of the net. I thought that one was in as it wrinkled the net. A lot of people here join me in thinking that, but it stayed out. 40 seconds to play in period number 1. 5-1 Oshawa. David Gans is number 88. Gans on the other side to Mark Harmon. Into Stern. He couldn't get the shot away, and back the other way comes Rick Farah. Farah in the middle of Jean-Marc McKenzie. McKenzie gets through 2 men. Can't poke it in behind Sidorkowicz, and he's hauled down. There'll be a penalty against the Oshawa Generals, so the Greyhounds will get their opportunity on the power play.
I believe that penalty is going to be to Mike Stern. That happened way back in the Sioux end zone. Meanwhile, John-Mark McKenzie made a great play. There you see the penalty. Tripping or hooking is going to be the call. Meanwhile, John-Mark McKenzie walked right straight through the Oshawa team. Made a great effort right up to the middle ice area before he was pulled down.
I thought there could have been a second penalty there, too. Hooking is the call on big Mike Stern of the Generals. So the Greyhounds are on a power play, and boy, do they need to capitalize on this. They're down 5-1. The score not indicative of the even strength play in this game. There's been 4 power play goals for the Generals. Chris Felix to Pat Leahy. The front of the net is packed with players. Bukaboom playing up front. A backhand shot slipped just wide by Rick Farah. Here's Wayne Gruel, number 9, into the middle, comes right back to the point. Leahy shoots into a crowd, tipped in front, wide by Gruel. Missed the open net as the buzzer sounds to end the period.
All that Terry Crisp can do right now in between periods is try to settle his team down, convince them that taking penalties is not the way they're going to work their way back. They're going to have to get one early in the second period and then just chip away.
And so the score at the end of the first period is the Oshawa Generals 5 and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds 1.
The Oshawa Generals with a commanding 5-1 lead over the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds after the first 20 minutes of play, of course, capitalizing on that very costly major penalty to the Greyhounds' Ken Sabrin, as the Generals scored 3 power play goals. They also had a 4th. It's 5-1 Oshawa. Joining us now is Generals defenseman Todd Charlesworth, who was a number 2 draft choice with the Pittsburgh Penguins last season. As a matter of fact, is just returning from Oshawa after spending 10 games with the Penguins. That must have been quite an experience for you, Todd.
Well, it was a great experience going up, being called up to the NHL. And I guess I was pretty surprised when my coach phoned me one Saturday, and it was just a thrill to be up there.
What was the difficult adjustment for you? What was the toughest part?
Well, the guys were a lot faster and a lot stronger up there, and they always use their heads, so you got to be thinking a lot.
Has it changed anything about what you will concentrate on doing here in Oshawa now to prepare for your NHL career?
Oh, yeah, all the veterans gave me a lot of experience, and they told me a lot what to do and where I should be and how to play the puck and that, and they gave me a lot of experience. Last
season was your rookie year in the OHL, and you had the good fortune of playing with one of the top defensemen in junior hockey last year, Joe Sorella, who's now with New Jersey.
Yeah, Joe is one of the classiest guys I've ever met, and an honor to play with on the blue line. He taught me a lot, and with just playing with him is excitement and everything. You are a rare breed in 1984. You are what is described as a defensive defenseman. Yeah, that's what they say. You like the label? Oh, I like playing defense. I know in the NHL there's not many defensive defensemen in the league, and I guess a lot of teams now are looking for defensive defensemen because of all the high-scoring games up there, but I'm glad to be a defensive defenseman. That's what teams are looking for. Yeah, I was wondering if you were a little bit concerned that perhaps some of the scouts and some of the NHL teams might be preoccupied with offense and preoccupied with scoring statistics. I'm told that there's a lot of teams looking for defense, and since they were so hard to find, and I guess I was in good shape. You're an Ottawa native. Learned your minor hockey there, and of course the 67's Denny Potvin was dominating the OHL when you were a youngster growing up. Did you ever have a chance to watch him? No, I hardly went to any Ottawa 67's game. I guess I never thought I'd be playing the OHL or in the NHL. You weren't thinking of a hockey career then as a youngster? No, I always dreamed about it, but when it came to Bantam or getting up to midget there, I thought maybe I'd have a chance, and I played Tier 2 my second year midget. Right then, that's when I thought I'd have a good chance of playing in the NHL. When you think of a hockey career, do you think of it in terms of something going 5 years, 10 years, a means to an end? How do you view it? Well, I hope my career goes for a long time. I guess the average age in the NHL now is 5 years in the NHL, and I hope I can go a little longer than that. You know, I like to make a living out of it and maybe play maybe 10, 12 years. Well, the Pittsburgh Penguins are anxiously awaiting your arrival next season. Todd Charlesworth, you had a big first period, the Oshawa Generals with that 5-1 lead. Yeah, it's there's a lot of penalties going on in there, and that 5-minute major that the Sioux got really helped us out a lot in the penalty situation.
Okay, thank you very much. Todd Charlesworth, good luck to you next season, whether it be here in Oshawa again or with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Coming up, an in-depth look at our OHL Grad of the Week, the Winnipeg Jets, Scott Arniel.
Wayne Gretzky's NHL accomplishments are well documented, but the great Gretzky's stardom had surfaced in the Ontario Hockey League years earlier. Gretzky played 3 games in Peterborough before being drafted by the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, and in 1977-78, Gretzky had 70 goals and 182 points in his rookie season, setting rookie records, and was named Rookie of the Year and Most Gentlemanly Player. The great Gretzky got his start with the Soo Greyhounds in the OHL.
Big first period for the Oshawa Generals. They lead the Soo Greyhounds by a score of 5-1. Scott Arniel was raised in Kingston. He played junior hockey in Cornwall, where he helped the Royals to the Memorial Cup championship. Now, one of his teammates there was Dale Howarchuk, who incidentally is a native of Oshawa. And they were reunited again in the NHL with the Winnipeg Jets. So now let's take a close-up look at the Jets' Scott Arniel, our OHL Grad of the Week.
In June of 1980, the Winnipeg Jets selected members of the Cornwall Royals in the first 2 rounds of the NHL Amateur Draft. That year, Dale Howarchuk was widely acknowledged as the best junior player in Canada. Selecting him number 1 was an easy choice for the Jets. In the second round, the Jets took another center from the Memorial Cup champions. Scott Arniel's rise in the Jets organization has been less dramatic than his teammate Dale Howarchuk's, but nevertheless, he has improved steadily after a fine junior career.
Well, I think he's improved his skating tremendously, and he's sure he's becoming a strong two-way hockey player. He's improved his defensive game very, very well. And also now he's starting to score in the National Hockey League. I think he's got 17 goals right now, and he is certainly becoming into one of the good two-way players of the league.
Scott's junior career was a series of successes, culminating in a gold medal with the World Junior Champions in 1982.
With Dave King and Bob Strom and Sherry Basson, they put together a team. They just mixed the talent and the personalities together. It seemed to work like clockwork. And it clicked from day one, from the first game we played right through the end of the series. And I think it gives a lot of credit to, like I said, Dave King and them, because picking the players, which, you know, sometimes you got to overlook maybe a guy that scores 100 goals or something like that, and maybe take a player who has a type of personality that fits in with the rest of the players. And I think that's what they did, and that's why it works so well.
Bob Strum, now the coach of the Regina Pats, was the general manager of that gold medal winning club.
Well, when you put a team together like that, you need all kinds of people. You need some grinders. Of course, we had the big defense, and you need people that can put the puck in the net. And Scott Arniel has a history of being a very skilled hockey player. We used him on the wing with Habscheid and Moeller, and it turned out to be our best line. He played the left side, even though he'd played a lot of center in junior. And he scored a number of big goals for us, and he was one of the skilled people on that club.
After the emotional high of the gold medal experience, Scott struggled in his first year and a half with the Jets. This summer, he was determined to get off to a better start.
For the first, I think, 2.5 months, until about Christmas time last year, I couldn't even handle a puck, and I felt sluggish all the whole time. Like I could feel like I was carrying that extra 10 pounds. So this year, I wanted to come into camp at roughly around 180, between 185 and 190, and I did somewhere in there. And I felt good right from day one. And I did a lot of skating this summer. I was skating from the middle of July on, and I was in shape, really in top shape when I came to camp at the beginning. And as soon as the puck was dropped in that opening game, I felt great from day one right until now.
Scott has spent most of this year playing alongside Laurie Boschman and Lucien Deblois. The two veterans are playing the best hockey of their careers, and Scott has been a big part of their success.
Well, I think there's no doubt that both Scott and Lucien have had a tremendous impact on the success I've had this year. Scott's the type of player who goes in the corners and not afraid to go for the net and to get in the corner, and I think the success of our line this year has been between the three of us, the fact that not one person is a designated forecheck or whatever. All three of us will go in the corner, and Scott's definitely a big part of that because he will go in the corners and muck, and he can score goals, and he'll go for the net, and he's not afraid to get involved. So that's definitely helped my game.
He knows more how to play the game. He's prepared himself maybe better for games now. I think the main factor is confidence. He's doing the things with the puck that that a couple of years ago he wouldn't do. He just you can see he's mature and he's got more confidence. It takes time to make the play and do the right play.
Scott Arniel has been called the best left winger on the Winnipeg Jets by his coach, Barry Long. His continued maturity will be a very important part of any success the Jets achieved in the future.
Scott Arniel, he and Dale Howardchuk are not only friends and not only teammates, but they also share a home with Winnipeg defenseman Jim Kite. And coming up, a look at the OHL All-Scholastic team. That right after this. With the score, Oshawa 5, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds 1.
Here's a look at the schedule. Ontario Hockey League for the next week. Games in your area. Check for those ones. The Oshawa Generals play most of their games on home games on Sunday night, and they'll be at home to Kingston, one of the games in the league tomorrow. Tuesday, look for these games, including a Sudbury-Sault Ste. Marie matchup as those two northern squads go at it. Sault Ste. Marie's first game after the one they're playing today. Wednesday, London at Belleville as the Belleville Bulls continue to fight off Cornwall, try to for a playoff spot in the Leighton Division. Thursday's games, probably the big one there, would be Toronto and Peterborough, a couple of tough clubs in the Leighton Division. And rounding out the week on Friday, there's a look at the games. Kitchener and Sault Ste. Marie could be a great one in the Ems Division. OHL update. Here are the scoring leaders in the OHL. Tim Salmon of the Kingston Canadians with 120 points. He and Kevin Conway are doing their best to get Kingston into a playoff spot, but having a tough time doing it. The goal scoring leaders, Kevin Conway, who had 6 in one game last week with 52, leads the way. David Gans has scored his 49th of the season this afternoon against the Soo Greyhounds.
Well, there are a number of youngsters in the OHL who have been able to combine excellence on the ice with excellence in the classroom. And recently, the league announced the selections to this year's All-Scholastic team.
Players on the OHL Scholastic team are judged on their ability to combine high standards of play with academic excellence. Here's a look at the 1983-84 Scholastic team members. London's Scott Morrison is a second-year student at the University of Western Ontario, also the Knights' leading scorer. Rob Krokock from Belleville is a grade 13 student at Belleville Collegiate. Jeff Jackson of the Brentford Alexanders is the captain of the team and also a grade 13 student. The goaltender on the Scholastic team is Scott Mosey of Guelph, a grade 13 student and the only goaltender on the Scholastic squad. Joel Brown from Kingston is a grade 13 student playing for the Canadians. Jim Quinn of the Kitchener Rangers is the captain of that squad, also a first-year student at Laurier University. Peter Abrick is a grade 13 student playing for the North Bay Centennials. Don McLaren is the leading scorer on the Ottawa 67s and a second-year student at Carleton University. Mike Lococo is a first-year student at Algoma University in Sault Ste. Marie and plays with the Greyhounds. Glenn Greeno, a grade 13 student in Sudbury. Toronto Marlborough's Mike Rowe, a big defenseman and a grade 13 student at Richfield. Mike Neal is a grade 13 student as well. David Gans of the Oshawa Generals leads the team in scoring and is a grade 13 student at Central Collegiate. Mike Stapleton is the son of former NHLer Pat Stapleton and a grade 12 student. Scott Tottle is the Scholastic Player of the Year, a second-year Trent University student with a 73% average.
This award is to combine scholastic and hockey ability, so I think that's a big plus for me because I don't think you should put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, and just to forget about school and go for a hockey player or forget about hockey player and go for a skill. So I kind of combine them both.
In recent years, I guess there's a young man who did both better than anybody, and that is Bobby Smith, who is now the Montreal Canadiens, who is not only an outstanding hockey player, but, of course, an outstanding scholar as well. The score here in Oshawa, after one period of play, the Generals 5, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds 1.
In Boston, they call Rick Middleton magic, but his ability to perform wonders with a puck had surfaced many years before the Bruins, when he was an Oshawa General. In 1973, Middleton was the OHL's most valuable player, counting 67 goals. He's gone on to a 50-goal season with Boston, has won the Lady Byng Trophy, and has been an all-star right winger, but it all started with the Oshawa Generals.
Don't just think about it. Burger King presents
Jim Hughson and Gary Green back in the broadcast booth at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium with a look at the first period summary of this game. Key was on the power play, Dave Gann's 49th, and the last 3 goals, Bridges, Giffen, and McLean for Oshawa, were all power play goals, as the Generals capitalized 3 times in a major penalty to Ken Sabourin of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. So the second period starts 5-1, Oshawa leading. With the shots on goal, 18-5 for Oshawa. Little wonder they had that big edge in shots, because they were on the power play for an awful lot of the first period.
If I was Terry Crisp right now with the Greyhounds, I'd be testing Sidorkowitz a great deal. There's our next game. That'll be in 2 weeks' time. Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, this team you're watching this afternoon, versus the Brantford Alexanders. 2 o'clock will be a game time.
Second and third in the M's division. They've had some great battles as you look at Peter Sidorkowitz. And at the other end is Jerry Uliano, who replaced Jim Samick in the first period. The referee is Bill Prisniak, and the Greyhounds will start this period on the power play with 1.5 minutes left in a penalty to Mike Stern. Already been 99 minutes in penalties in this game. 6 to the Greyhounds, 38 to the Oshawa Generals. The Greyhounds on a power play here with 1 minute and 15 to go in the penalty to Stern, and boy, would they ever like to get it going. They're 1 for 1 on the power play. McLean kills some time, ragging the puck. Back to Todd Charlesworth. Charlesworth now killing some time. The Generals doing a fabulous job right now on penalty killing.
It may be John McLean's first game back this afternoon after being injured, but I'll tell you, he has played one heck of a game.
Out in front, Biggs got a shot away that was deflected, as McLean is doing everything. The captain of the Generals looks great. Here's Wayne Gruel. Hooked down is going to be another Oshawa penalty, as Gruel was dumped, and this is a big opportunity for the Greyhounds.
Generals may just give the Greyhounds too many opportunities. Watch Don Biggs here. He's pulling down Gruel. He'll go to the penalty box as well. The Generals now will be 2 men short, giving Wayne Gruel up front one more time for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Added opportunities to score.
Ideally, the Greyhounds would like to score in the 36 seconds before Stern gets out of the penalty box, and then they could continue on the power play. With Biggs off for tripping, 1 minute is the time of the penalty. So this game could quickly turn around if the Greyhounds can get their power play moving. This is the Minnesota draft pick, Don Biggs. Rick Vera, number 21, to set up this power play. On the other side to Felix, into Gruel. His shot is wide. Gruel had an excellent opportunity at the end of the first shot, one through the crease and wide of the net as Charlesworth ties up the puck.
Wayne Gruel got dumped there by John Stevens by the Generals. Gruel, as mentioned in the first period, receives a lot of ice time. He is right behind Dave Gans in the OHL scoring race right now. He has 104 points coming in this afternoon's game, 5th in the OHL.
19-year-old from Welland, drafted by Quebec in 1982. Here's Gruel. Back in the point for Chris Felix. There's a shot by Graves, deflected wide. Pat Leahy, number 12. Stern is about to get out of the penalty box. He's standing, waiting to come back on the ice. Leahy for Gruel. His shot is wide. Stern's out of the penalty box. The Generals are now just 1 man short. And up 5-1. 2-on-1. Here's Grattan with Charlesworth. Grattan centering pass. had gone in too far as Grattan waited just a tad too long. A 2-on-1 back the other way. Here's Farah moving in. Shoots it. Sidorkiewicz the save. The rebound. They score. Wayne Gruel.
That's Sault Ste. Marie. A little incentive now. Good play here by Farah, but it's Gruel that ends up putting that puck in the net. Charlesworth had got caught up ice, and that is very unusual for Todd Charlesworth. He's a defensive defenseman, as Mike Anscombe explained in between periods, but Charlesworth did get caught up on a good scoring opportunity, however, by Oshawa, a 2-on-1 situation. However, when you're trying to kill the penalty, you should think about killing it first and scoring second.
For Wayne Gruel, his 46th goal of the season, his 15th on the power play. Rick Farah drives an assist. 159.
Oh, we see some of the scouts in the stands this afternoon. Edmonton well represented.
Taking a few notes. 5-2 is the score now. Oshawa out in front of Sault Ste. Marie, and the teams are at even and full strength, and that's something they haven't been a lot during this game. Here's Danny Grattan with a shot. Uliano makes the save and covers up. As the Greyhounds were guilty of not clearing anybody in front of the net.
Well, Grattan, an excellent opportunity. Watch right here in front of the net. It's not actually Uliano that makes the save. Instead, it's Tim Hoover that is covering up best he can, and that would have been a penalty if he had have covered up right in that crease area, but that puck was not underneath of him. He was just out of the referee's sight, and as a result, stoppage in play. Face-off coming up to the right of Uliano.
Off the draw, Gans goes for the front of the net. He's knocked down. Out come the Greyhounds. There's a pass for Graham Bonner, tied up on Mike Stern. Bonner goes in after the puck. Tries to center it to Jean-Marc McKenzie. McKenzie comes in after it. John Hutchings, number 3 for the Generals, turns in his own zone. On the other side to John Stevens and out to center. Jeff Bukaboom there to stop the puck and plays it on the left wing. That was for Mike Oliveri. Generals get possession, and Gans dumps the puck in. Chris Brandt clears it to center. 3 minutes. Almost 4 minutes now gone. Second period. 5-2 Oshawa. The scoring play on the power play for the Sioux is Gruel's 46th from Farah at 1:59, as there's an icing call here against the Greyhounds.
You see a lot of Jeff Bukaboom this afternoon for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Very talented individual selected by the Edmonton Oilers. They're here watching him this afternoon. His coach, Terry Chris, says that he has to kind of control his temper somewhat. Older brother John Bukaboom played for me in Peterborough. John had somewhat that same problem. Good, tough, strong farm boys, though. The great attitude.
Charlesworth with a shot that was blocked. The Greyhounds move it back the other way. A race for the puck, and Ian Ferguson gets there first. Here's Todd Charlesworth with Don Biggs moving in. Charlesworth in behind the goal, looks around, back on the point. Ferguson, number 5, shoots it. It was going wide, but steered to the side by Uliano, the goaltender. Jerry Uliano replaced Jim Samick in the first period. The Greyhounds coming out of their own zone. Number 24 is Sam Hady. Lococo's out in front. Joe Ranson was unable to get him the pass. Here's Hady, number 24, centering pass picked off in front. And the Generals turn it back. Number 5 is Ian Ferguson coming up the ice. He's got Biggs with him. And Jeff Steppen going for the front of the net. Scott Bridges is number 11. Drops the puck off for Ferguson. Back on the point. Bridges shoots. Kicked out by Uliano. 5-2 Oshawa leading. 4.5 minutes into the second period. Steve Graves with some speed into the corner. Poke check by Ian Ferguson. And the puck is cleared out to center. Here's Chris Felix. On the boards, Todd Charlesworth tied up by Steve Graves. Rick Farah there as well. They tie the puck up and get the face-off. Wayne Gruel has the only goal of the second period, but his Greyhounds continue to trail by 3.
In every corner of the country.
The face-off is to the right of Peter Sidorkiewicz. His Oshawa Generals lead the Soo Greyhounds 5-2 in the second period. I'm Jim Hughson with Gary Green and Mike Anscombe from the Oshawa Civic Auditorium. Off the face-off, the Generals will get a chance to move it up. Melanson into center, dumped in by Brent Mackey, number 18. Joel Curtis, number 19, is the other forward on this line. Against Gruel, Graves, and Rick Farah of the Soo Greyhounds. Brad Walcott, number 24, kept the Soo Greyhounds in their own zone as Farah tries to move it out and gets it to center. Mark Harmon on the other side, his defensive partner. Walcott dumps it in. Here's Jeff Bookaboom to Steve Graves. Graves takes a return pass from Gruel. Gruel to Graves again, runs into Mark Harmon, and they go to the boards. The puck is loose behind the net, and Sidorkiewicz clears it. Bookaboom pinches in to keep that puck in the Oshawa zone. Out in front, Farah shot. Sidorkiewicz the save, and he sprawls on the ice to hold on.
We had mentioned Steve Graves earlier in this game, but he has the abilities to break this game open for the Greyhounds. He's got 30 goals so far this year, but with that tremendous speed, busting down that left wing, we saw him just to the first of that shift go streaking into the Oshawa Generals end zone, carrying the puck all the way. He's tough to stop. He could get things going for the Sioux.
Steve is 6 foot, 180 pounds. He's from Ottawa in his 3rd season with the Greyhounds. There's a pass up the middle. Dave Gans just failed to hold on to it, or he was in all alone as Jerry Uliano covers up and holds on to the puck for the Greyhounds.
Hey, you're watching Gans out there this afternoon. Jim, as you had mentioned, just incredibly smart hockey player. He can put that puck in the net. He's taken over as the offensive leader, replacing Dave Andrechuk with the Buffalo Sabres now.
Mike Stern with a pass to John McLean, the captain, back on the point. Stevens in behind the goal. Gans will set up from there, trying to center it to Stern. The puck comes out front, and it is cleared by Chris Brandt. Coming out 2-on-2, he has Pat Leahy with him. Dumps the puck in. Sidorkiewicz leaves it behind, and there's going to be penalties on the play. Behind the play, I believe it was Chris Brandt and John Hutchings, who you see in the picture. Maybe just Hutchings going to the penalty box. Watch this.
I think it is going to be just Hutchings. You can see that behind the play, he pulls down the Sioux player, and as a result, Sioux is going to have the opportunity on the power play one more time. Now, if Oshawa were smart, they're not going to take penalties and allow this Sioux team to get right back into this game. If Sioux were to score now, make it 5-3, they'd have the momentum and could just keep on rolling.
The 3rd straight penalty against the Generals, and the Greyhounds are 2 for 2 on the power play. They get a goal here. They're within 2. While playing even strength, it's been a pretty even hockey game here today. The Generals have 4 power play goals, and the Greyhounds have both of their goals on the power play. Now let's watch the Greyhounds set up around that Oshawa box. Leahy for Gruel. Back in the point. Felix fell down as he was trying to shoot that. Here's Gruel out of the corner. Tries to get it into the middle and does, but there's a crowd of Generals there, and they get the puck down the ice. Race for the puck. Felix is checked by John McLean. McLean gets the puck and plays it back to John Stevens. John McLean, number 15 for the Generals, doing some great hustling on his penalty-killing unit. He's out there with Donnie Biggs as the Greyhounds get the puck in the offensive zone and try and set up, and there's McLean again. 5-2, Oshawa leading as Biggs cross-checked the man he was chasing, Pat Leahy. Leahy, number 12, moving out for the Greyhounds. He was clipped, set for a somersault by McLean. Here comes Leahy, holds on, moves in. Leahy centers the puck. It went through the crease to the other side, and Don Biggs is there to pick it up with 45 seconds left in the penalty. Here's Charles with 2-on-1 with McLean. Behind McLean, holds on, centers it, and it went into the corner. Here is Pat Leahy moving out with number 29, Graham Bonner. Back on the point, Farah. In for Gruel. Back to Bonner. Greyhounds have control, but will they get a shot away here? There's a shot by Felix, wide. 15 seconds left in the penalty to John Hutchings of the Generals. Collision at center ice, and going down was Leahy as he ran into Danny Grattan, who's smaller but seems solid. Here's Scott Bridges. His shot deflected wide. The penalty to Hutchings is over. So the Generals are back at full strength, and they did a nice job killing the penalty as the puck is tied up. You're watching the OHL Game of the Week. Nearing the midway mark of the second period, you're with the OHL Game of the Week on Global. I'm Jim Hughson with Gary Green and Mike Anscombe. Glad you could be with us this afternoon. It's 5-2. The Generals leading the Soo Greyhounds. 11:30 is the exact time to play in the second period. The teams are at full and even strength once again. There's been a parade of penalties here this afternoon as the Generals move in offside.
Some good hard hitting this afternoon. We take a look at Bruce Melanson. Melanson was involved in an earlier incident this afternoon. Before he was hurt this year, he was perhaps one of Oshawa's best rookies. He had a shoulder injury and was still wearing a shoulder brace.
And every once in a while, if he gets hit the wrong way, Bruce has that shoulder still popping out on him. And that's going to be tough to play under those conditions, especially to play physically. Two-line offside pass charged against the Generals and called back. By the way, Bruce Melanson, although he is also from the East, where Roland Melanson is from, is no relation.
Well, you can see the good luck from the Don Mills Flyers. Signed this afternoon, all of those players. The bottom one no longer in the game.
Didn't last long, did he? Ken Sabourin tossed out in the first period. Game misconduct, and he was wailing on this guy. John McLean is after, and that's why Sabourin was thrown out. Here's McLean, who's seen a lot of ice time today. It is first game and only 15th game of the season with the Generals. Dave Gans with a pass that is knocked down by the Greyhounds. They'll try and move it out. Lococo couldn't do it. McLean kept the puck in. Stern runs into his man English behind the goal, but the Greyhounds come up with a puck and move it out at center. Here's Mike Lococo. Moving up to the line. Checked there by Brad Walcott. Walcott went down. Lococo has the puck. Lococo moving in to Oliveri. They score! The net was knocked off its mooring, but the puck was in the net first.
It'll be interesting to see who they credit that goal with. I believe Oliverio was parked right on the left post. Now let's take a look at it closely. Sidorkiewicz way over to the right side. Well, I think that's exactly. That puck, I believe, went off at Charlesworth. In fact, let's take a look one more time.
But Oliverio will get it.
Was Oliverio.
I was just going to compliment Brad Walcott on a nice play at the blue line for standing up as a defenseman and taking Lococo out of the play, but then he fell down and let Lococo go.
Well, 5-3 the score. Soo right back into this game now.
The 13th goal of the season for Mike Oliverio. Lococo got the assist at 9:36, so it is 5-3 Oshawa, and it's becoming a different game as the Sioux has scored the last two goals and come back here in the second period. We've reached the midway mark of period number 2. Here's Donnie Biggs, number 16 for the Generals, getting around. Boom shovels it out in front. Jeff Steffen couldn't get a shot away after a nice play by Biggs. Biggs back on the point for Stevens to Scott Bridges. Leaves it there on the other side for Stevens. His shot is wide. As the Generals show a nice display of passing, moving the puck around in the offensive zone. John Hutchings for Scott Bridges. Bridges right in front. They score! Beautiful play. Don Biggs gets the goal.
Pound for pound, Don Biggs is one tough player. He's only 5'9", but what great skills. What a competitor he is. He had the puck all alone. Sioux player a good 5 or 6 feet behind him. He took a look. He knew where he wanted to put it, and he did exactly that right by Uliano.
That line moved the puck around brilliantly during that shift, resulting in the goal. And Biggs got smacked when he scored it, too. Cross-check from behind. Biggs, a Minnesota North Stars draft pick. Gets the goal. Bridges made the great move in front to get him the puck. Hutchings draws a second assist at 10:28. So it's 6-3. Oshawa in front by 3 once again. As Don Biggs gets his 24th goal of the season. Right in front, Gruel with a shot. Gain put through the crease by the Greyhounds. We might have a real east-wester here. As the Generals go in offside, it looks like the floodgates are opening at both ends.
It may have to be a north-south game, though, Jim, this afternoon, as we take a look at number 23, Lee Giffen, one of the younger players we talked about earlier in the first period. A couple of goals in today's game, not draftable by the NHL until 85.
6-3, Oshawa leading. Here's Chris Felix, the leading defensive scorer. For the Greyhounds, racing after the puck was Lococo. Charlesworth beat him to it. And the icing call results against the Greyhounds.
I'm surprised to see Todd Charlesworth being up ice so much this afternoon.
Maybe he didn't like being called a defensive defenseman.
That oftentimes happens, though, I believe, when players get called up to the NHL, they come back. They start doing more than they did when they were here in the first place. The feeling coming back from the NHL to junior oftentimes displays great confidence. But you have to remember, you've got to do what got you drafted in the first place. Charlesworth, a good defensive defenseman.
Mike Oliverio scored the last goal. He's jumped unceremoniously on the boards by Lee Giffen. Moving up the side, Charlesworth and Oliverio now push and shove. In front, John Mark McKenzie couldn't get the pass. There's Oliverio's shot, knocked away by Sidorkiewicz. And the puck was gloved ahead, and so the play is called. From the Oshawa Civic Auditorium, this is your Molson Hockey Telecast. Back at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium, you're with the OHL Game of the Week. Oshawa leading Sault Ste. Marie 6-3. After building a 5-1 first period lead with 4 power play goals, and the Generals go in offside.
McLean pretty eager to get in and over that blue line. Dave Gans hanging on to the puck. That line of Mike Stern, as you see in your screen right now, Gans and McLean, what a line that is.
8:21 to play, second period. John Hutchings, number 3, chases the puck back in his own zone. Around on the boards for John McLean. McLean was checked, and Graves keeps the puck in for the Sioux. Graves on the boards against McLean. Hutchings comes up with a puck, 3-on-2. The Generals move out to center. Hutchings with Stern and Gans. Into the middle. Loose puck. Gans shoots it wide. The Greyhounds had a great chance to clear that puck, but they weren't able to, and now they shoot it down the ice and are called for icing. We'll remind you that Burger King has a great ticket offer for OHL fans. With any purchase at one of their Toronto, Mississauga, Newmarket, or Oshawa locations, you can have a couple of tickets to the Saturday, February 18th game. That's a week today, London at Toronto game. See the Knights and the Marlboros at Maple Leaf Gardens, courtesy of Burger King next weekend. Face-off is to the left of Jerry Uliano. There's a shot from the point by Walcott. Didn't miss by much. Back the other way come the Greyhounds. Graham Bonner upset on the boards. Wayne Gruel, number 9, in after it, trying to center it. Knocked away out to center. Buka Boom and Chris Brandt are the defensemen, and Brandt shot the puck in offside.
Steve Bonner playing on that right side. He's Graham Bonner, I should say. He used to be the top 15-year-old at Henry Carr. He's got some great abilities. Terry Chris says that he sometimes teases you with flashes of brilliance. He's going to make him into a center iceman next year, but because of the injuries, he's having to play the wing.
6'3", 205, and in his draft year, you know, some of the scouts are here to watch him. 7 minutes, 20 seconds to go in this second period. 6-3, Oshawa leading the Sioux. Scott Bridges, number 11, moving up for Oshawa. It's a nice move to get away from Koval, but back comes George Koval, number 4 now, as the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds turn it around. Into the middle, Bukaboom rushing on the play, couldn't handle the puck. Bridges turns to get away from Koval and is knocked down behind the goal. Brad Walcott moving the puck out. Walcott, a former Kingston Canadian, dumps the puck in. Back forward is Chris Brandt. Brandt to Koval. His pass knocked away by Lee Giffen. Bukaboom spins, feeds Koval, and the puck is shot into the Oshawa zone as the Greyhounds make changes on the fly. Tim Huber at center. Lost the puck. Danny Gratton trying to get a hold of it. McLean has it ahead for Giffen. The play is broken up and the puck is sent out of play with 6:13 to begin period. Oshawa leading the Sioux 6-3.
Stay tuned for the second period intermission when Mike Anscombe will be speaking to Mike Lococo. Sioux's maybe one of their more consistent players during the course of this year. Interesting story about Mike and Lococo, and Mike Anscombe will ask him about some of those things in the upcoming intermission.
Also have an interesting feature on John McLean as Bruce Melanson breaks in for the goal. And we'll have some highlights of this game for you. Here's Lee Giffen, number 23, with Melanson out in front. Gratton in after the puck as well as Oshawa puts some heat on, and the play is called as Giffen is down on the puck on the boards.
Giffen been a very active player for the Generals this afternoon. Very intelligent player. You can tell that by watching him. He's only a 16-year-old.
Look out next year when it's his draft year. It'll be interesting to watch. He is now, and I think there's a lot of NHL scouts that would mind sneaking him in the '84 draft.
Interesting. He used to be a defenseman. He played last year with the Newmarket Tier 2 team.
Out at center now, here is John Stevens for the other John Hutchings, and back to Stevens. Hutchings plays the puck to Stevens, and the Generals move back to center, and they're turned back once again. Behind the play, Melanson and Sam Hady ran into each other, and man, did they go down hard. Hady goes after Hutchings. Hady's a little upset after taking that hard hit from Melanson, I believe. And the Greyhounds are offside.
Sam Hady, a pretty big, strong 19-year-old, 6 foot 185 pounds. Chris says that he is a big, strong winger. He has to realize it, though. Great abilities to go for that net. You can see by some of the body checks that he's laid out this afternoon, as well as received. He's pretty steady on those feet.
Sam's another Pittsburgh draft pick. Had over 200 minutes in penalties some seasons when he played in Junior B in Windsor. He's a tough hombre. 5 minutes to go, second period, as the puck bounces dangerously in front of the Sault Ste. Marie goaltender, Jerry Uliano. Back checking to steal the puck was David Gans, jumping into that Sault Ste. Marie zone. Here's Gans, number 88, turns out in front, so is McLean. Gans tries to step aside and couldn't. Gans again. Back on the point. Charlesworth shoots, blocked by Mike Lococo. McLean runs into Chris Brandt. And the Soo Greyhounds move it out. One man back for Graham Bonner. Drops it for Gruel. Nice pass to Lococo. Great save by Sidorkowicz, and the puck squirts to the corner. What a good heads-up play by Gruel to set up Lococo. Greyhounds come close. However, it remains 6-3 Oshawa as both teams change on the fly. Jeff Steffen steals the puck and couldn't get a shot away. Charlesworth from the point. Steffen in the corner is checked. The Greyhounds unable to clear the puck. Scott Bridges, number 11, in for Steffen. Biggs is in front of the goal as Chris Brandt, number 18 for the Sioux, steals it. Brandt holds his man Biggs and pushes him into the boards. The fans are calling for a penalty, but they'll just get a stoppage in play with 3:51 left in the second period from the Oshawa Civic Auditorium.
Sidorkiewicz had to come up on a big save here on Mike Lococo. Good pass just prior to that by Gruel. Gruel and Lococo playing on a line together with Sam Hady.
Sharp-looking play, and Sidorkiewicz was lucky as that puck just drifted by the post. But he did get a piece of it before that. We're nearing the late stages here, or in the late stages of the second period as the puck is tied up. It's 6-3, Oshawa leading. These teams have had pretty even records over the last 10 games. Oshawa has gone 5-5-0, while the Sioux has gone 5-4-1, just over 500. They're on a road trip that saw them play in Cornwall and Kingston the last 2 nights, and after today they'll head home for a game on Tuesday.
Two good, very young teams here we're watching this afternoon, Jim, and they will only get better next year. A lot of good things to look for.
3-on-2. The Generals moving in. Jeff Steffen. Bukaboom takes him out of the play. Bukaboom just towers out there on the Sioux defense. He's a big fella at 6'4" and 210. Oliveri dropped the puck off. Rick Barrett. Barrett couldn't deal with it, and back the other way come the Generals. The puck was shot in by Jeff Steffen. Hoover back there is knocked down at the side of the net as Giuliano holds on to the puck. We'll remind you that this telecast is protected by copyright and is intended solely for the non-commercial entertainment of our viewing audience. Any use, reproduction, or distribution in whole or in part of the pictures or descriptions herein contained without the express written consent of Canadian Sports Network, the OHL, and Global Television is strictly prohibited. Grattan and Leahy in the face-off circle. Greyhounds, a little confusion. Now they get possession as they try and move it off the draw. Here's Chris Felix, number 5. Watched by Lee Giffen. Felix waited too long to clear that puck. The Generals keep it in. Joel Curtis lost the puck at the side of the net. Back come the Greyhounds. Curtis back checking on the play. Kept in with a shot by Felix. It's loose in front. They score! Sam Hady put it in. It's a 2-goal game again. 6-4.
What a difference this second period. Sioux really coming on much stronger. Watch that puck. It's right in Sidorkiewicz's feet. Now Hady, being the guy that tapped it in, Leahy, by the way, though, was right there pushing that puck as well. I think that puck was going in the net once again this afternoon. I think, though, we'll see the goal being credited. Well, no, we're not going to see it credited to Hady. It is going to be to Leahy.
As it should be. We're not sure if it was hit. Let's have a look at it. We'll see.
Watch
settle his argument.
Watch right in front of the net. You do see Leahy push that puck. Oh, I don't think he even touched it.
That confirms it. Pat Leahy gets the goal at 17:40. The play now is called offside. For Leahy, his 26th goal of the season. Coming at 17:40 and making it a 2-goal game, so he could be in for a dandy third period here with Oshawa out front 6-4. There's still some time left in the second. Here's Mike Stern moving in. Stern in behind the goal. Can't center it, taken out of the play by Tim Hoover, number 10. Dave Gans with a centering pass right out of the stick of Graham Bonner. And out come the Soo Greyhounds 2-on-2. Mike Lococo taken down by Charlesworth. Stern for Gans and over to McLean. John McLean coming in, number 15. Checked by Hoover, one hand on the stick, scoops it in front. It's loose and called. I think the puck was still loose, but the referee Brisniak lost sight of it and called the play. So the Greyhounds are making a game of this as they come back and have closed the gap to 2 goals. Oshawa still leading. Jim Hughson, Gary Green, and Mike Anscombe at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium with 1:33 left in the second period of this game of the week. Oshawa leading 6-4.
The second period has really been a back-and-forth seesaw event. 3 remaining. Gann, Stern, and McLean combined on that last rush, almost giving Oshawa the goal. John McLean showing great strength. And now we take a look at Brent Mackey.
Soo with possession in their own zone. Tim Hoover is behind the goal. Last Sault Ste. Marie scoring play was Leahy's 26th from Graves and Felix at 17:40. That one made the score 6-4. Hard hit on the boards as Walcott ran into Bukaboom, and Bukaboom just banged somebody on the top of the helmet. Easy for him to do because he's much bigger than most of the guys on the ice.
Well, the way that Brad Walcott came racing in there after that puck, I don't think Big John Bukaboom appreciated being bumped into the boards that hard. Take a look at Walcott, the way that he just goes charging in there, and almost charging it was. Those boards shook at the far end as Walcott and Bukaboom collided.
You talked about his brother John, whom you coached in Peterborough. John now playing with the Montana Magic in the Central Hockey League after playing last year in Adirondack. That's Jeff's brother John Bukaboom. There's Big Jeff dumping the puck into the Oshawa zone offside against the Greyhounds as we reach the last minute of the second period. So I wonder if this 3 games in 3 days business starts to tell on the Soo Greyhounds in the third period as you look at John Hutchins.
That's where it will be interesting. I think that at times it can affect you early in the game, and it did, in fact. The first 2 goals that were scored by Oshawa right in the very first couple of minutes of play. I don't think Soo really had their legs from getting off the bus. On the other hand, the second period, they have come back strong. We'll see how well a conditioned team they are in this third period.
In after the puck is Sam Haiti, and Bukaboom kept it in at the line after Haiti missed it at offside again. If there's any team in the league that should be used to road trips, though, it would be the Soo Greyhounds, as you pointed out earlier. They've got a big road trip every time they play a game.
Long distance. And when they do come down from the north, they usually end up playing 2 or 3 games in a row. Thursday in Cornwall, last night in Kingston, and this afternoon here at the Oshawa Auditorium.
Number 5 is Ian Ferguson. Moving it over to Todd Charlesworth. Out to center, Hoover overskated the puck. Covering up for him was Leahy. Puck is stolen by Bridges to Jeff Steffens. Steffen holds on for the Generals. All 3 Oshawa forwards are in the corner, so there's nobody out front to pass to. As the puck squirts out to center. Ian Ferguson. You hear him get some coaching from his other players who tell him he's the last man. Here come the Generals, 3-on-1. Big centering pass. Was deflected and cleared to center. We're in the last 10 seconds of the second period. We'll let one of the players count it down for you as the buzzer sounds to end the second period from the Civic Auditorium.
The third period is going to be an interesting one. I'll tell you why. Both young teams out here, and that means in the Soo's position, they may have a lot of confidence of having the abilities to come back. On the other hand, Oshawa may have trouble defending the lead because I know Paul Theriault is concerned about that with young players. They may not have the abilities, the confidence to defend that lead. Should prove to be an interesting 20 minutes coming up.
The Greyhounds outscored the Oshawa Generals 3-1 in the second period, and we've got a game on our hands here as it's now a 2-goal margin. The score after 2 periods, Oshawa 6, Sault Ste. Marie 4.
The Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds staging a comeback in that second period. They were trailing 5-1 at the end of the first. As you can see, it's now 6-4. The Generals leading the Greyhounds. And joining me now is Mike Lococo, forward with the Greyhounds. Mike, what happened in that second period? It was a different hockey club out there.
Well, after the first period, we got that 5-minute major, and Oshawa took good advantage of it. We got behind the 8 ball, and we knew in the second period we either had to blow the hinges off, or else we weren't going to have any chance at winning the game. So we had 40 minutes left after the first. We thought if we started working hard and getting right back into it right away and not waste any time, we might have a good chance to win the game.
Peter Sidorkiewicz had you shaking your head on a one-on-one late in that second period?
Peter didn't have me shaking my head as much as I had myself shaking my head, because Yeah, Wayne Grill set me up perfect on that, and I walked in all alone, and got a bit excited. I turned it over a little bit too much. It came to the right a little bit, and that hit him right in the pad. So.
Mike Lococo, I am told, is very surprised to be a member of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds in the 1983-84 season. I am told that last summer you had a meeting with Coach Terry Crisp, and the feeling was that there wouldn't be a place for you this season.
Yeah, that was true, and I can see his viewpoint. It was justifiable too. But last year we seemed to have we had 5 left wingers. I was the 5th left winger. All the other 4 left wingers were drafted to the NHL, and I pretty well knew by the end of last year that I didn't really have a good shot at the pros, but I knew I was good enough to play in this league, and I went and talked to him, and I said if he would take the chance to keep me on the team for another year, I was going to give him 100% effort. Whether I did well or whether I didn't do too well, I couldn't, you know, prove, but I just said I'd give 100% effort, and that's all I've done so far this year.
So you really had to go and ask for a chance this year?
I did pretty well. He was going to give me, I think he would have gave me a chance. I didn't think I was going to have a spot the second year after the first year. But I had 3 good trips since I've been here. I shouldn't even had a chance the first year because I was a 17th rounder anyways, but I just seem to be hanging in there by the skin of my teeth, and I'm enjoying it very much, and I'm glad I went and asked.
The acknowledgement that perhaps there is not an NHL career or even a professional career ahead of you, was that a difficult reality to face?
Extremely. Because ever since I've been 6, 7, 8 years old, I first laced up a pair of skates. My dream was to play in the NHL, and once I got to be around 11 or 12 years old, I don't want to brag or anything, but I knew I was above average hockey player, and I thought I had a chance, and I worked towards it, lifted weights, I did everything. I geared my life to making the NHL, and then even after I got drafted in the 17th round, you know, I was thinking I still have a chance, and there seems to be a lot of stress on size, and that kind of really had me depressed for a while. But you know, after you play 3 years in this league, you realize what a good advantage size gives to you. And I'm not I don't want to, you know, criticize the scouts or anything, but I'm just glad I had the chance to prove that if I could have made it or not, and I'm glad I gave the effort. But you were also an outstanding student, and it is safe to say that you have your goals set on career outside of hockey. Your father's a dentist in Niagara Falls. Is that something you might pursue? Yeah, I'd like to follow in his footsteps. I had a decision to make, to go to an American university or come here, and I'm just glad that I came here, because if I went to an American university, I wouldn't have felt I gave it 100% shot at the NHL. Well, I think you're a great inspiration to many youngsters who enjoy the game of hockey, but for reasons of size or ability perhaps cannot play in the National Hockey League, but can still have some fun and learn a whole lot about life in the OHL. Well, I recommend it 100%. Mike Lococo, a very interesting young man. Thank you very much for talking to us. It was a pleasure talking to you, too. Thank you very much. Mike Lococo of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Coming up, a behind-the-scenes look at the Oshawa Generals star right winger, John McLean.
One of the most talented centermen that the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds have had in a number of years is now a Hartford Whaler. His name is Ron Francis. He grew up in Sault Ste. Marie and played with the Sioux Legion Midgets. He was the Greyhounds' second pick in a midget draft. In 1980, the Whalers drafted Francis. In 81, they called him up halfway through the next season. Francis, 68 points in his first NHL season, 90 points in his second. An outstanding center. Ron Francis is a former Sault Ste. Marie Greyhound.
It's almost as if we have seen 2 different hockey games here this afternoon. It was all Oshawa in the first period, but then Sault Ste. Marie came storming back in the second. Only 2 goals separating these 2 clubs after 40 minutes of play. The first right winger taken at last June's NHL draft was the Generals' John McLean. He was selected number 6 by New Jersey in the opening round. He played several games with the Devils this season before being sent back here to Oshawa for more experience. So let's take a look at a young man who has a very big and very bright future ahead of him in the NHL, Oshawa's John McLean.
John is the type of young man you'd like for a friend, for a son, for a teammate, and from a coach's standpoint, as your captain and player.
He's just an all-around kind of a workaholic player that rubs off on the rest of the team.
The rookies look up to John. There's no doubt about that. He's a leader even before he came back. He was a leader last year, and even in his rookie, he showed that he can be a leader.
John McLean, New Jersey's first-round draft choice, is back with the Oshawa Generals.
My draft year was last year, and I had a pretty good year, and New Jersey felt so too, and they selected me in the first round. And so I ended up there for the first half of the year.
His year as a Generals rookie led him to a second highly successful season, a first-round All-Star position, and to the Memorial Cup.
I didn't really consider myself a star from Oshawa going in there.
The 82-83 season saw John McLean as Oshawa's most valuable forward and sharing both most valuable teammate and most valuable player with New Jersey's Joe Cirella.
There was a lot of pressure on me when I went into New Jersey I was supposed to carry on what I did in junior into the NHL.
In certain instances, I think that a player is ready and able and capable and mature enough to handle a situation. In other instances, I think that we've made the mistake of bringing them up too early, and as a result, they haven't developed properly, and they normally end up in the minors or out of the game after a few years.
Ready or not, at age 18, young men going from the OHL to the NHL have a tough transition to make.
The major change was moving away from home for the first time, because I got lucky to play my junior hockey in my hometown. And it was quite an experience getting used to living on your own, making your own meals and that. And the hockey was a lot different too. It was faster paced. You're playing with men out there, 28, 30 years old.
When you all of a sudden you move up to the NHL, you're under a different situation, a different contract. You're on your own. You got to look after a lot of things. Here he's with his family in the comfort of his home, with the direction of his family and what direction we give him. It's just a total different atmosphere.
John was quite a mature boy. I don't think it went to his head or anything like that. He knew that there was a big jump, and coming back wasn't the end of the world.
His flexibility and determination are helping make every situation a positive one for John McLean.
Before they sent me back, they told me that I'd be going to the World Junior Tournament with over to Sweden there, and I came back. I played 3 games with Oshawa, and then I left for the junior tournament, and I had a pretty good tournament over there, and now I'm back with Oshawa for the rest of the year.
He's learned a lot when he was up there. You can obviously see that, and it's going to help our club out just so much.
John's return as Oshawa's #1 right winger could lead them back to the Memorial Cup and get John back to where he wants to be.
I know now that after playing up there, that's where I want to play, in the NHL. In junior, it's a little more scrambly, and guys are out, everybody's out hitting and that a lot. But in the NHL, you don't get hit that often, but when you get hit, you know you got hit.
A hectic year like this one has given John McLean even more drive and determination to succeed.
I won't be able to come back to Oshawa next year. I'll have to, it's either going to be in the NHL or the minor leagues, and I don't want to play in the minor leagues, so I'm going to work extra hard to stay in the NHL.
And John will be a success no matter what he does.
You saw that wrapping on John McLean's hand. That, of course, is a little bit of a handicap here this afternoon, although the first period he did score his 7th goal of the season. John McLean epitomizing the work ethic, and it is a labor of love clearly, and it's going to pay off for him, of course, as the #1 pick of the New Jersey Devils. Coming up next, Gary and Jim have highlights of the second period with the score, the Oshawa Generals 6, the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds 4.
6-4, the Oshawa Generals lead the Soo Greyhounds. Gary, I know when you were coaching in junior, you had some pretty tough jobs, some tough things to do. And I would think after listening to Mike Lococo, nothing would be tougher on a coach than having to sit down with a player and deal with the fact that he's going to help your team, but he's not going to make it as a pro. Did you have to deal with that very often?
That is a difficult situation, Jim, for the reason being, you know, so often those are the players that have got your real heart on your team, and yet it's very disappointing for them, and it's very disappointing for you. But, however, it is a great experience for them, as you heard Mike say, and they can be a great contribution to your junior team. I think that this young man has just shown tremendous consistency this year, and as well as determination. He's one that I think any junior team would take on their team, regardless of whether he's going to turn pro or not.
There's always 2 or 3 of them, it seems, and all good junior teams. Well, let's get back to this game. The Oshawa Generals leading 6-4, and we'll look at a couple of goals from the second period. The first, a beautiful goal by Don Biggs, but really set up by Scott Bridges.
Bridges really did the work here and then put that puck nicely over to Biggs, but give Biggs the credit because he took a look, he saw exactly where he wanted to put that puck, and good shot.
The Sioux actually outscored Oshawa 3-1 in that second period, and here's their last goal. It was scored by Pat Leahy.
Well, Leahy shows you tremendous strength. I thought he had a heck of a second period there. He was really being almost tackled there, but yet he was consistent. He knew he wanted that puck through Sidorkowitz's legs, and he did exactly that.
Couple of things to look for in the third period. I would think, first of all, we'll look for the Sioux's legs and find out if they tire a little bit, playing the third game in 3 days. And not only are they playing 3 in 3 days, but this is an afternoon game, and don't forget they played last night in Kingston.
I'm not so sure whether or not other than Graves right now and Gruel out there, if they've got enough offense to come back and win this game. When you take a look at the way that John McLean is playing out there this afternoon with that line of Gans and Stern, I think McLean is a tremendous leader. New Jersey have got a good one in this guy.
All right, we'll look forward to the third period coming up with the score 6-4, Oshawa leading Sault Ste. Marie. When the Oshawa Generals picked 16-year-old Tony Tanti in the 4th round of the 1980 midget draft, they knew they were getting a good player from St. Mike's, but they hadn't bargained for what was to come. In his rookie OHL season, Tanti counted a rookie record 81 goals and made the first All-Star team. The next year, he scored 62 and helped Canada win gold at the World Junior Championship. He scored his first goal with the Chicago Blackhawks, but now he's a Vancouver Canuck and close to becoming the highest scorer in the history of the Canuck franchise. Tony Tanti, a Canuck, started with the Oshawa Generals. Jim Hughson, Gary Green, and Mike Anscombe back at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium as we get set for the third period of this game with the Oshawa Generals leading 6-4. It was 5-1 after the first period, with Sault Ste. Marie outscoring the Generals 3-1 in the second period. There you see the shots on goal and the totals after 2 periods, 26-14 in favor of the Oshawa Generals. Gruel, Oliverio, Biggs, and Leahy scoring the second period goals. So we're all set to go with period number 3, and we'll see if the Greyhounds can come back. And they've already come back to get within 2 of the Oshawa Generals. Goaltenders, Peter Sidorkowicz for Oshawa. Jerry Uliano is the second Sault Ste. Marie goaltender. He replaced Jim Samick in the first period. The referee is Bill Prisniak. His linesmen are Ken Cox and Peter Wicklow. Here's Pat Leahy. Moving the puck on the boards for Steve Graves. Cleared, not out. Chris Brandt kept it in. Don Biggs chases the puck after blocking it to center. Here's Big Jeff Bookaboo. Moves into the Oshawa zone. He's got 2 players out in front. His pass was tipped. Scott Bridges. Bridges always seems to be back. He's a forward and a good skater, and maybe that's why he is always helping to defend. Bridges, number 11, dumps the puck in for Oshawa. Through the first minute of the third period as the Generals make a line change. Sending out their big unit of Dave Gans with John McLean and Mike Stern, and this is number 14 back in his own zone after the puck. For McLean, knocked away from him by Jean-Marc McKenzie. Hutchings with a shot. Kicked out by Uliano with a nice save. Back in the point. John Stevens keeps it in for Oshawa. Turning it back the other way is Rick Farah. Farah dumps the puck down the ice, and it'll be right on Sidorkowicz. So there's no icing, of course. 1.5 minutes gone, third period. 6-4, Oshawa. Here's John McLean, number 15. Centering pass. Back in the point it comes. Stevens a shot. Uliano saves it. They score on the rebound. And it's 7-4, Oshawa.
Big Mike Stern just towering out there in front of the Sioux net. He got that rebound and put it home past Uliano. Pretty tough to control, Stern. 6'4", 224 pounds in front of that net area. He's just awesome. You talk about guys that had to catch up with their size. Bukaboon this afternoon for the Sioux, but Mike Stern, he's another one that fits that mold.
Mike Stern is already drafted by the Detroit Red Wings. 6'4", 224, a 19-year-old from Kitchener, gets his 34th of the season.
He's a very determined young man. He took power skating this summer. He knew he had to improve on that a bit. And we've got another goaltending change. Samick is back in the net.
Jim Samick, who started the game and lasted until the score was 4-1 at 16:20 of the first period. Comes back in goal to replace Jerry Uliano. Samick, an 18-year-old from Thunder Bay, as we mentioned at the outset, played Junior B in Stratford last season, back in the goal.
You're only allowed one warm-up, and so Samick has had his warm-ups through the course of the first period.
The Oshawa goal was Stern's 34th from Stevens and McLean at 1:42 of the third period to make it 7-4 for the Generals. Breaking in after the puck. To St. Marie, number 19, Mike Oliveri, trying to center it, knocked away by Charlesworth. There's a shot from the point, stopped by Sidorkiewicz. Lee Giffen, number 23, checked into the boards, and they'll tie the puck up and get a face-off. Oliverio and Jean-Marc McKenzie in there on Giffen.
Oh, big Mike Oliverio, he goes booming into those boards as well. He's getting lots of ice time, something he didn't expect. There you take a look at number 77, Danny Gratton. We've seen a lot of him this afternoon. You'll see a lot of him years to come with this Oshawa team. Just great skills. You can bet that in 1985, when the NHL gets an opportunity to draft this young man, that he will be a high first-round pick.
He's already in his second season of major junior hockey at 17 years old. Not eligible for the draft until 85 because his birthday is after the 15th of September in his birth year of 1966. They're allowed to draft the 66s this year, but if you're after September 15th, you're not eligible until the next year. That's because they want the players to be 18 when they go to training camp. An offside call. With the Oshawa Generals scoring Mike Stern in the third period to take another 3-goal lead over the Sioux. Jim Hughson with Gary Green and Mike Anscombe at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium. Glad to be with you this afternoon with the OHL game of the week. The Oshawa Generals leading the Soo Greyhounds 7-4. Reach for the puck at center. This is Tom Biggs, number 16, shoots. Samick makes the save. Biggs has got good wheels. He has to pump those legs pretty fast because he's not a very big fellow.
He sure does, but he can blast that puck as well. Here's his most recent drive. Samick getting the opportunity to make that save. Well, Biggs is a very determined man. He doesn't like being referred to as being a small player.
There's a shot and score! Jeff Steffen makes it 8-4 off the faceoff.
Smart move by Steffen. He positioned himself properly. He was the Scholastic Player of the Year last year. Take a look at him in that slot area. Biggs making that pass out. Steffen with a good wrist shot.
And Terry Crisp has run out of goaltenders now. He's got nobody else to change to. Although Steffen let a pretty good shot away. Biggs gets the assist, the 7th goal of the season for Steffen, and the Oshawa Generals are back in looking for more. 3:07, the time of that 7th goal. Charlesworth spun around and thrown down by Jeff Bookaboo. Here's Dave Gans. Drops it off for Charlesworth. Charlesworth around on the boards. Moving in is Mark Harmon. Harmon, number 4 for the Generals, trying to center it. Gets it in behind the goal. Pretty good battle going on between two big guys, Stern and Bookaboo, around the side of the net. Mike Stern and Jeff Bookaboo, the biggest fellas in this game today. There's Charlesworth with a shot kicked out by Samick, and Wayne Gruel has the rebound. Puck was deflected by John McLean into the stands for a stop-in play.
Jeff Steffen getting the Generals' 8th goal of the game this afternoon. Steffen doesn't get too many goals. He's basically a checker. However, a very important player on this Oshawa General team.
Number 26 is John Stevens. He plays the puck up on the boards for Lee Giffen to Danny Gratton. And here come the Generals again. Gratton had the puck swept away, but now he moves it in on the boards, and then he ran in to John English and knocked him into the boards. Grattan is not the biggest guy on the ice either, but he's pretty strong. He's thrown a couple of hits today where he's outmuscled opponents of larger size. In Oshawa territory, here's John Hutchings. Kept in by the Greyhounds, centering pass. It's loose at the side of the net, swept away by Danny Grattan. Before George Coble could get on it, there's a shot by Leahy, blocked by John Hutchings, number 3. George Coble dumped the puck in on the end board. Stevens for Hutchings. Good forechecking by the Greyhounds. From the point, Chris Brandt keeps the puck in. Hutchings with a nice move and a backhand shot out to center. Brandt has it there. Bouncing puck at center. Danny Grattan moving in. Shoots! Wide. Walcott with a shot. And that was way wide as the Greyhounds come back. They're 2-on-1. Rick Farah turns in the middle, and he didn't have a chance to pass it off as Joe Rampton was tied up by Charlesworth, who got back in the play. Here's Todd Charlesworth now, number 27. Up to Grattan. We've played 5.5 minutes in the third period. 8-4 now. Oshawa leading the Sioux. Mark Tournier, I think this is only his second shift of the game, number 6 out on the ice. Skating with the puck is Chris Felix. Felix for the Greyhounds, checked at center, but dumps the puck in. Back after it, Bruce Melanson.
Up the board!
Back pass in behind the goal by Ferguson to Charlesworth. Charlesworth is tackled in the corner and knocked down, and the play is stopped. 13:42 to play in the third period. 8-4 is the score here, and we'll remind you to stay tuned following the game for the Molson Cup. 3-star presentation. Molson is pleased to recognize excellence in OHL cities with the presentation of the Molson Cup. And there's a few strong candidates for star honors this afternoon, most of them from the Generals. And how about that? That's a score I'm sure we're all glad to see. Canada beats Finland 4-2. That should put Canada into the medal round. They have 2 games left. They'll play the Czechs. That'll be a tough one, but they should beat the Norwegians and go into the medal round.
Just a great effort by those Canadian kids over there. Dave King, their coach. A lot of adversity, but they've done it.
They certainly didn't get the hype that some other teams got going into the Olympics, but they got the results. There's sure a lot of people back on the Canadian Olympic bandwagon now. 8-4 here, the score. The Oshawa Generals lead the Sioux. John Biggs. Biggs with a pass onto the left wing. Jeff Steffen couldn't take it there. Bouncing puck in front of the Sioux goal. Hoover trying to clear it. Number 10 lost a mitt. Still got the puck to center. A delayed offside as the Generals clear the puck in. Now it's brought out. 24 is Sam Hady. He dumps the puck in for the Greyhounds and turns to the bench on a line change. There's a long pass from Mike Stern over to Don Biggs. He's coming in with Scott Bridges. Bridges goes for the front, so does Stern. The centering pass just a little bit too far behind Stern. Back come the Greyhounds, 2-on-2. Sam Hady to Wayne Gruel, breaking for the net. It was number 19, Oliverio, and he couldn't get the pass. Charlesworth tried to hit Dave Gans as this game opens right up. John McLean has had a great game this afternoon with a pass up on the boards to Gans. Gans is knocked down. Moves the puck back to his defenseman, Todd Charlesworth. Kept in by Jeff Bukaboom, trying to center it. George Coble's in front and is knocked down by Charlesworth. Gans in center for John McLean. McLean flips it into the corner. Coble can't clear it. Onside, Gans shoots. Samek made the save. Lee Kiffin into the corner to McLean. His centering pass taken away by Jeff Bukaboom. At the side of the net, McLean couldn't put it in. Samek got a piece of it. Good effort by McLean from behind the goal. 11.5 minutes to play in the third period. Oshawa leading 8-4. As Hutchings is back to touch the puck and icing is called. From Oshawa, this is your Molson Hockey Telecast. Welcome back to the Oshawa Civic Auditorium. I'm Jim Hughson with Gary Green and Mike Anscombe. Oshawa Generals lead the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds 8-4, having scored twice here in the third period after the Sioux closed the gap to 2. Really, the story of the game was a 5-minute major taken in the first period by Ken Sabrin of the Sioux, in which the Oshawa Generals capitalized and scored 3 times. The Greyhounds move the puck out to center, but it's turned back and sent into the Sioux zone. Grattan chasing Chris Felix. Felix puts the puck up on the boards. Into the middle now for Pat Leahy, number 12. He couldn't control it. Graham Bonner overskated it, and the Generals take command. This is the 4th and final regular season meeting between these two teams. They met in the championship final last year. And Oshawa on its way to winning 3 of 4 and taking the season series. A couple of the other games they won because Peter Sidorkiewicz was brilliant in goal, but today Sidorkiewicz hasn't been overworked at all. 10.5 minutes to go in the third period as John Stevens circles in his own zone, number 26. Stevens, a 19-year-old, played in Newmarket, over to Hutchings. John Hutchings moves the puck ahead. Brad Walcott now, a defenseman who's seen some action as a forward, dumps the puck in. Joel Curtis in forechecking as the Sioux moves the puck to center. Lococo checking Charlesworth. Chris Felix puts the puck up on the wing. A pass for Lococo. He was upset by Charlesworth. A good open ice hip check that sent Mike Lococo doing somersaults. Pass cut off by Charlesworth at center. He dumps it in. He's seen a lot of action today, Gary, and Charlesworth really quarterbacks the offense for the Generals, and he's rushed today more than he normally would.
Well, that was a great hit that he made on Mike Lococo. Sent Lococo flying.
The Greyhounds move in offside.
Just a reminder to you people that our next game on Global will be in 2 weeks' time. We'll see the Brantford Alexanders face the same Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. That will be in Brantford. 2 o'clock will be the time. If you're in the Brantford area, get out and see that game. If not, catch us here on Global at 2 o'clock.
Alexanders and the Greyhounds have had some great games this season, and they'll battle right down to the wire, I'm sure, for second spot. Or may meet in the playoffs. Right now, the Sioux is 8 points up on Brantford in second spot in the Ends division as the Greyhounds, the Oshawa Generals, go offside here. I'd like to tell you at this time, too, that Burger King has a great ticket offer for OHL fans with any purchase at one of their Toronto, Mississauga, or Oshawa locations. You can have 2 tickets to next Saturday's London at Toronto game at Maple Leaf Gardens. See the Knights and the Marlies, courtesy of Burger King, a week today. Down to 9 minutes to go in period number 3. Charlesworth with a nice play to cut that puck off of the point and get a shot. Here's Bridges with Biggs in front. So is Steffen at the post. Steffen is mauled in front. Steffen took a big elbow right in front of the goal as he stood in there. Hoover clears the puck around on the boards and out to center. Another play broken up by Charlesworth. The Generals are called offside.
That big booming noise you heard was a little bit of frustration as a Sioux player banged his stick on the board. Meanwhile, we take a look at Scott Bridges for the Generals. Key part in today's game. There's a view from the goal judge's angle. That's where he determines whether or not that puck crossed the line or not.
Hutchings and Stevens, the point men here, as the Oshawa defensemen have all done a pretty good job today, I think. Dave Gans, number 88, with one man back, looking around for someone to catch up. There's the shot, the rebound. Stern couldn't put it in as Bukaboom covered up. Here's Hutchings. He shoots, and Bukaboom blocked that one. Jeff Bukaboom has had a strong game today, too, despite the fact his team is down by 4. Shot from Hutchings. Stopped. And out to jump on it is Jim Samick.
Jim, there's maybe only one player on this Soo Greyhound team that had the capabilities of taking Big Mike Stern out of the front of that net area and keeping him from putting that puck in the net while his goaltender was down, and that was Bukaboom. There you see that loose puck. Stern going for it. Bukaboom just showing tremendous strength in those arms. Great reach he's got as well. Here you see Hutchings winding up with that shot, deflected off into the corner. Just some real pressure here by the Oshawa Generals. They had good control all along. Hutchings getting another opportunity. This time it did hit the net. And you see the scramble in front.
Here's Charlesworth off the faceoff with his shot that Samick holds on to and gets another faceoff. Charlesworth hasn't left the ice much today either. He's played well and he's played a lot.
He's very capable of receiving a great deal of ice time. He doesn't look as though he's suffering from it the least bit.
Here he is again. There's the shot wide of the net. Lee Giffen was decked out in front by Chris Felix. Sam Hady dumps the puck in and Sidorkiewicz clears it. Here's Danny Gratton moving out at center with Brad Walcott. Normally a defenseman. Walcott seeing some action up front. Return pass for Gratton, and Gratton was tied up by Felix. Leahy is clotheslined by Gratton in behind the goal. Felix drives it around on the boards. And the puck is cleared. Some pushing and shoving there between Joe Rampton and Charlesworth, and they're nose to nose talking to each other on the way up the ice. The 227s, and there they are again in front of the goal, and Rampton says, "I've had enough of you." Charlesworth just goes down, and Rampton wants nothing to do with it. Or Charlesworth wants nothing to do with Rampton.
Well, I think that's a smart move on Charlesworth's part. What are you going to gain right now by fighting Rampton? You can see what close quarters these two were in. The 227s, Jim, as you called them. I think maybe Charlesworth had a hold of Rampton's stick there, but then they go at it again right here in the crease area. Charlesworth isn't backing down the least bit. In front of that net area, anyway, initially he was going to make sure that Rampton wasn't going anyplace.
Well, Joe and some of the other Sioux teammates, I'm sure, just a little frustrated this afternoon. You know, if it hadn't been for a play almost like that where Ken Sabarin went after John McLean in the first period, the Greyhounds would be right in this game.
They really would. That was a key part of this game so far, is that first period. Greyhounds, however, are having problems offensively in this third period. Showing a little weariness, not having the legs, it seems, to get in there, do some forechecking. On the other hand, a well-rested Oshawa team is applying the pressure.
This Oshawa team, and can you believe this? You can talk about teams being 2 for 4 on the power play. The Generals are 4 for 2. 2 power play opportunities, one of them a 5-minute major, and they scored 3 times. They're 4 for 2 on the power play. And that's really the story of this game. It would be pretty close without that. Here's Scott Bridges, moves in, takes a shot that is blocked. Stern was covered up in front. Jumping on the puck was Jim Samick. You're watching the OHL Game of the Week. 6 minutes and 44 seconds left in the third period. Oshawa leading Sault Ste. Marie 8-4, and the Generals are on a power play with a minute and a half to go in a penalty to Joe Rampton for roughing at 12:49. Bridges, who plays the point on the power play with Hutchings. Hutchings moves up to the line and over. Dave Gans has McLean and Stern with him. Hutchings shot stopped by Samick. Bukaboom clears it down the ice.
Good hard low drive by Hutchings. He really blasted that puck. That's exactly where you want a defenseman to shoot from. At that point area, keep it alone.
Gans puts a bad pass across for Stern. Now Bridges turns with the puck. Scott Bridges, number 11, moves up and over the line. Checked by John Bukaboom, who got the puck outside. Gruel is after it. Bukaboom fires it down the ice. 40 seconds left in the penalty against Joe Rampton. Here's number 88, David Gans, the leading scorer on the Generals, looking for his 50th of the season. Gans has his 49th in this game today. Hutchings with a drive. Samick stopped it. Gans at the side of the net, poke check by the goaltender. From the point, Hutchings moves to the middle. On the other side, Stern shot, he scores! 9-4 Oshawa.
This time the Sioux couldn't get that big Mike Stern to move. Positioned accordingly in front of that net area, just off to the side. He blasted that puck, and boy, did he ever let that go. You can see McLean hovering around waiting for a rebound, but there was no rebound. Mike Stern getting the goal.
So you see his 35th of the season for Mike Stern, a 19-year-old from Kitchener who is a graduate of the Kitchener Midgets and a Detroit 11th round pick in the 1982 draft, and obviously pretty popular here in Oshawa. Hutchings and McLean draw assists on the goal.
I'll tell you, Detroit Red Wings, they got a good one. That Mike Stern, he will fit into their plans nicely.
That's a steal, getting him in the 11th round. And that's what happens when you draft kids that are 18 and 17. Some are late developers. There's a pass right in front. Charlesworth got clipped with a stick as he tried to tip that in, but he's all right in skating back up the ice. Hooked down from behind by Bruce Melanson was number 14, Steve Graves, and there's a penalty on the play. It'll be called against number 9, Bruce Melanson. Here's a look at it.
Take a look at it right in this corner area. You can see Melanson. He's the guilty victim.
Penalty comes at 15:08 of the third period. I know there was 99 minutes in penalties in the first period. It's calmed down considerably since then. Only 4 minor penalties since the first period. There was a stormy 20 minutes. A few misconducts handed out. Melanson goes for interference at 15:08. And the Greyhounds are on the power play, and they're 2 for 3 with a man advantage this afternoon. Gruel wins the draw. Graves on the point over to Felix. You saw that Oshawa box. Here's Gruel with a shot wide of Sidorkiewicz in the Oshawa goal. Pat Leahy takes over, number 12 for the Greyhounds. Into the middle for Gruel. Gruel shoots. Stopped by Sidorkiewicz, and the puck is cleared. Charlesworth in the corner, centered by the Greyhounds, but the Generals are there to clear it. Lee Giffen for Danny Gratton. Gratton going in against Graves. Graves takes the man. Felix and Giffen go after the puck. Puck squirts loose in front. Gratton, if he could have got onto that puck, could have put it in. Here's Rick Farah. Drops it off in his own zone for Felix. 4 minutes to play, third period, 9-4. Oshawa leading Sault Ste. Marie from the point. Gruel with a shot wide. Bouncing puck at the side of the net. Picked up by Rick Farah. Back on the point for Chris Felix. And at the side of the goal, Leahy to Gruel. He scores. Wayne Gruel gets another goal, his third of the afternoon, and it's 9-5.
Gruel and Leahy have played well together. I've been impressed by Leahy. He makes a good, smart move here. He sees Gruel all alone over to his right and plays a perfect pass over to him. Pat Leahy had a great second period. It's coming on strong as the game gets older, but Gruel very smart with that puck, and he blasted it home.
47th goal of the season for Wayne Gruel, a sniper on this squad from the Sault Ste. Marie. Leahy and the other assist should go to Chris Felix. But it's too little too late.
Chris says that Gruel has got a wrist shot like Rick McLeish. Rick McLeish may be known in the NHL during his years as having one of the finer shots there. Chris would know all about McLeish's shot.
3:20 left, 9-5, Oshawa leading. Again, a 4-goal difference, and I can't help but refer again to those 3 power play goals that Oshawa got in the first period with Ken Sabrin and Sioux off with a major penalty. All the difference in the game. On the power play, the Sioux's been great today. 3 for 4 with a man advantage. Total of 7 goals in this game have been scored on a power play, and we've had 14 goals scored. The Greyhounds dumped the puck into the Oshawa zone, cleared around to the boards by Sidorkiewicz. Biggs took a bump as the puck was kept in by John English, number 11 from the point. Here's English moving up again. Blocked in front by Charlesworth. Charlesworth is 2-on-1 with Jeff Steffen. Steffen back for Charlesworth. Off the goal post. Steffen now. He and Charlesworth on the 2-on-1 wanted each other to score by the looks of the way they passed it back and forth. No, you take it. No, you take the shot. There's the shot from McLean that's deflected into the stands. So 2 minutes and 9 seconds left. A 4-goal lead for the Oshawa Generals. Jim Hughson with Gary Green and Mike Anscombe back at the Oshawa Civic Auditorium. Matter of time now before the Oshawa Generals pick up the victory. They're out front 9-5. And have played a pretty good game this afternoon, capitalizing on opportunities, and have welcomed back John McLean and Todd Charlesworth, and I'm sure they're happy to have them. McLean just back from injury, and Charlesworth just back from the Pittsburgh Penguins. Have contributed a great deal as Dave Gans shoots. Stern tipped it in, and it's 10-5 as the Generals hit double figures.
Was a tremendously smart play by Gans. Not a selfish bone in his body. He laid a perfect pass over to Mike Stern. I think Gans could have well got a good scoring opportunity here by shooting it himself, but instead he saw Stern over to his left and laid a perfect pass over there.
36th goal of the season from Mike Stern, his 3rd goal of the afternoon. Coming at 18-14. Gans and McLean in on it again.
Gans actually faked that shot, and when he looked up, he saw that Samick was way over, out of position, cut down the angle all right, but left too much room, and good move.
Some kind of afternoon for that line as the Generals hit double figures against the Soo Greyhounds. Terry Crisp standing back behind the bench, just wishing that the game would come to an end, and it will in 1 minute and 24 seconds with the Generals leading by 5 at home. Back live for the remaining 1 minute and 24 seconds from the Oshawa Civic Auditorium. The Generals have put this one in the bag. Their home record will go up to 17-8-1 on the season. The Sioux will drop on the road as Farah goes for the front of the net and is checked to 11-15-2 while playing away from home.
And we'll put the Generals only 2 points behind the Peterborough Petes.
Bruce Melanson, number 9, is checked at the line. We're in the last minute of the game. Here's Wayne Gruel, has 3 already this afternoon, splits the defense, can't get the shot away though as his stick was held up from behind. And there's going to be a penalty on the play as Gruel was hauled down.
I know one man that'll be pretty happy today. Sherry Basson, the general manager of this Oshawa team. We'll talk about a lively person to talk to before the game. Sherry's energy just spurts out.
He's a colorful character. If you ever get a chance to go to a dinner where Sherry Bassett is speaking, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Mark Harmon gets 2 minutes for hooking. And the Greyhounds are on the power play to finish this game. Donnie Biggs, who's had a great afternoon, has a 2-on-1 with John McLean. Biggs over to McLean. He knocked it out of the air, but Samick made the save. Do you believe that guy? He saw that puck all the way and knocked it out. He's had a great afternoon. Both Biggs and McLean who are on the ice now. And Charlesworth, number 27, who has the puck now. As the Generals kill the time on the clock, 30 seconds left.
Jim, to me, New Jersey Devils now have a very bright future from what I've seen of John McLean this afternoon.
Pat Leahy in behind his own net. Here's Rick Farah coming in with Gruel, trying to feed Rampton on the far side. They'll count down the seconds, and the Generals have a victory.
When you have 15 goals in a hockey game, you certainly don't have one boring moment. Entertaining game this afternoon, 10-5 for the Generals. That gives them a real boost. Soo, meanwhile, will go home and have the luxury of playing some home games.
Try and regroup. The final score this afternoon, the Oshawa Generals 10 and the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds 5. We'll have the Molson Cup 3-star selection in just a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, here are your Molson Cup 3-star selections. The first star from the Oshawa Generals with a goal and 4 assists, number 15, John McLean. The second star from the Generals with a goal and 2 assists, number 16, Don Biggs. And the third star from the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, number 23, Jeff Bukaboom.
Oshawa with a big 10-5 victory over Sault Ste. Marie this afternoon. The Generals scoring 4 goals in that third period, 3 of them going to Mike Stern, who, of course, has already been drafted by the Detroit Red Wings. Stern getting his 34th, his 35th, and 36th goals of the year. And we'll be back with more from Oshawa in just a moment. The Generals winning this afternoon 10-5, and then the other OHL matinee this afternoon, the Toronto Marlies edging Cornwall 4-3. And of course, at the Olympics, as I'm sure most of you know, Team Canada defeating Finland by a score of 4-2, virtually assuring them of a place in the medal round. So our congratulations to them. 2 weeks from now, we will be in Brantford as the Alexanders take on this same Sault Ste. Marie. That's Saturday, February 25th, 2 o'clock, right here on the Global Television Network. Sault Ste. Marie in Brantford, 2 weeks from this afternoon. The final this afternoon, Oshawa 10, Sault Ste. Marie 5. And so, for Jim Hughson, Gary Green, and the entire Global crew, this is Mike Anscombe saying so long from the Oshawa Civic Auditorium. Ontario Hockey League Game of the Week has been brought to you by Molson, bringing you the finest in hockey broadcasting for over 25 years. And by Burger King, home of the bacon double cheeseburger. Aren't you hungry for Burger King now? And by Imperial Oil. You make us better. Esso.